Baylor's dream comes true. Coach Drew and Baylor complete college basketball's greatest rebound and rebuild with a championship.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Here's T looking for the paint. Fade away, not there. But another offensive rebound by Vital.
Does every nice cut and a
pass. Give the assist to Vital. Butler with the basket.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Simi had taken away. Mitchell, no call. Hits the deck, back out. Flagler, who can shoot it. It's a three.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Nice little curl here. First time they run that.
Oh, my goodness. Nava says no to Kispert's drive.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
Butler, step back three.
Are they locked in and focused?
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Man, it's nice to be back in the great state of Texas. It hasn't been long since I landed after an early trip from Indianapolis to Orlando and then to Dallas to Love Field, and now we are here in studio, and you see we've got a couple of props or whatever you want to call them. Paula Fleck with the flowers. She's the one that sent us flowers. Paul, was the last anniversary we had. And Craig Smoak to my right, Paul Catalina. And then I just called HEB. I said, hey, can you do this? I was driving from the airport, and I saw hundreds and hundreds of fans getting ready for the men to arrive for the celebration that they've had at Waco Airport. And they put this together for us, and there's a fork right there where Armstrong attempted to pop it before we started the show on this 1 year anniversary. Craig, can you believe it's been 1 year? And then to have the Baylor men's basketball championship to celebrate with it.
Yeah, forget us. Forget the 1 year. I mean, Baylor basketball is the national champions. Baylor men's basketball, to be more specific, an incredible night last night for anybody and everybody who's ever had anything to do with Baylor athletics. So happy for the fan base. So incredibly happy for all the people over on that campus that have worked so hard to, help put that team together, the players, the coaches. I mean, it's been an incredible story all year long, and we've been front row to view it the entire time, and to think that last night they actually went and did it. I mean, this wasn't, getting to the Elite Eight. This wasn't getting to the Final Four. This was playing for the national championship against the unbeaten, against the greatest team of all time. Well, you know what? Baylor men's basketball is one of the greatest teams of all time. And I think Gonzaga's, little blemish is going to overshadow that. And I noticed that last night to an extent. But with the way they polished off one of the greatest teams ever and did so matter-of-factly, they are undisputed national champions, and they are one of the best basketball teams ever, in my opinion, in college basketball. That was a sight to witness last night.
There's no question that they dominated the tournament. They dominated Arkansas. They dominated Houston. They dominated what was supposed to be the once-in-a-lifetime, and that's not to take a shot at Gonzaga. Baylor was to be there in person, to watch it on television, it was hard to explain. We may have, and there was a tweet earlier this morning when I saw, did we not realize perhaps that Baylor may have been the best or perhaps one of the greatest teams ever until we finally saw their last 40 minutes, and maybe that woke some people up to realize how dominant they've been?
I think so. And you know what kind of happened was the COVID pause gave people reason to doubt because they came back and they didn't look the same. And why? I mean, why would they look the same? I mean, you got to. They're human beings. I know they're highly trained athletes, but they're human beings. So, yeah, there were some things. So then you thought, okay, and then they didn't really look the same until the second half of the Hartford game. And I thought, yeah, here they are again. And then, Wisconsin, they looked the same. Villanova gave them a little bit of a scare, but, that's the guy who's won 2 of the last 4 national titles, and Jay Wright on the other side. Believe me, if there's anybody who you give him a week to figure you out, he's going to figure out some stuff and have a plan that'll at least work for a little while. And And then when they got to this game here, after what they did to Houston, I thought, well, that's all well and good, but Gonzaga's a different animal. But at the very beginning of the game, when they just started unleashing and Gonzaga couldn't answer back, I thought, oh, this is different. This is different.
Yeah, I thought it was a game that could have been a highlight reel for every single player on the team. I thought it could have been a highlight tape for the coaching staff, just some of the plays they drew up, how confused they had Gonzaga defensively. But tell me what player did not fill his role last night?
Not all of them. The only one that I thought at times looked like he was a little bit, and it was because he had a different role last night, because Jonathan Chama and also Flo Thamba and Mark Vidal controlled inside. Matthew Meyer, they didn't need him to score. It's not like they didn't want him to, but he didn't have to, because everybody, you're right, to a man, was lit up last night and played exactly the way they needed everyone to play.
Davion Mitchell looked like a lottery pick and the best defensive player in the entire country. Jared Butler looked like the best point guard in the entire country, which he was. They looked like the best defensive team in the country. They looked like the best three-point shooting team in the country, of which they were all those things, but they showed it all in one night. I mean, Maceo Teague did, what he can do at the highest level. Chachua, Butler, Mitchell. I mean, every single guy on that team did whatever they were asked or did what they've been good at doing all year long. It was just an absolute clinic. It was an absolute clinic of basketball against, this big, scary Gonzaga team. And, when they rolled out on the court, the eye test was in Baylor's favor real quick. And, then once the basketball dropped as well, then it was very clear who the better team was.
Yeah, and, Davion Mitchell is such a good defensive player that his first foul was, they called it when he was guarding Drew Timme. And it was a foul, but at no point did I think, well, that's not a good idea. I was like, he can probably handle it. He'll figure it out. If you told him that Drew Timme is your guy all night and not Jalen Suggs, Davion Mitchell would have figured it out. And Jalen Suggs eventually got his. He got to 22 points. But Davion kept him off balance for the entire first half, and that was the real difference in the game.
Let me tell you something. That was an ass kicking.
Yeah. That's what I said in the postgame show last night.
That was men among boys. That was grown-ass men. Excuse my language, but it's kind of sometimes it maybe emphasizes it even more. And you could see Gonzaga was shell-shocked from the beginning. It's not so much like a heavyweight fighter that always knocks somebody else out and then they getting floored early. It wasn't quite like that, but it was close. And you could see Kispert, who's a hell of a player, and then Timme, who's a really good player, a little bit too much of a drama, a celebratory guy for me. But you could see even Jalen Suggs, who's a really good, going to be a lottery pick. You could see all of them kind of looking around like, what's going on? Do you realize that in the first 7 minutes of that game, Gonzaga had their largest deficit of the year? In the first 7 minutes, it was Brigham Young 14, they were down 16.
Yeah, they never had a lead. I mean, Baylor had the lead the entire game.
The entire Final Four.
Yeah, the entire Final Four. Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm saying is all this attention that was placed on Gonzaga. Just because Baylor has a couple of losses on their resume doesn't mean they can't be considered for one of the all-time great teams, and I think they should be, because that was how dominant the run they just went on was. You take into account the COVID pause, and I think that adds more difficulty to what a normal season would look like. You add in just the entire year of having to be, extra precautious about everything that you're doing. I mean, I think that adds a level to it as well. So not only did they run through, for all intents and purposes, an entire season, nearly, went unbeaten while doing that, won the Big 12 regular season title, but they dropped a couple games. They dropped a couple games to two really good teams in Kansas and Oklahoma State. But outside of that, they beat everybody, and they beat a lot of those teams convincingly.
Hartford played it better than most anybody other than Villanova in the first few minutes. And, of course, by the way, John Gallagher sent me a text earlier today saying, man, I'm so happy for Baylor. And who knows, that might be a non-conference game coming up next year. From John Dubow from the Associated Press, the biggest combined margin of victory throughout the entire tournament goes to 2010 Villanova. They had a plus 124. They had a plus 106 6 years later. Louisville in 2018 had a plus 97. Duke in 2013 a plus 93. Baylor, the fifth largest margin of victory ever in an NCAA tournament run, and they are the national champions.
Yeah, guys, I don't mean to interrupt you, Smokey, but we've got a national champion on the line. Coach, how are you feeling?
Well, I can tell you, we were all really tired till we landed, and then all of a sudden saw all the people to wait for us, and we're all rejuvenated. So, you know what? Staying up all night, I guess it's really not that tough anymore, even if you are in the 50s.
What's it like, Scott, knowing what you've accomplished? And I know you've answered that 1,000 times in the last 24 hours, but just now waking up, if you in fact went to bed, knowing that this moment is now, it's real.
Well, I can tell you, again, coaching's like being a parent. When your kids are happy, you're happy. You see everyone's joy, everyone's excitement, and we know how rare it is. I mean, Texas has won one national championship, and that was in 1966. This is Baylor's first national championship. So it is really a special moment. Our guys deserve a lot of credit, and they'll go down in history as the first program and the team to win a national championship for Baylor. But at the same time, all the people that put in the work before them to help get the program to this spot, all the fans, all the administration, everyone, it's a team effort. You don't win with just players. You don't win with just coaches. It's a team. So this is really a celebration for everybody. We're all champs.
Coach, going into last night, I'm sure you guys had confidence that you could beat this Gonzaga team, but was there any part of you and your staff that thought you could beat them the way that you beat them?
Well, I can tell you the whole tournament, I mean, you put together a game plan where you think if you execute, things are going to work out and you're going to be successful, but it's a 40-minute game, and in a 40-minute game, the best team doesn't always win. And that's why March Madness is March Madness. And that's why no one ever gets their bracket right out of the first weekend even. So I tell you, the guys were really playing good basketball the entire tournament. And the closest game was, 9 points? And we were never really in a position where it's a one-possession game, two-possession game. So hats off to the guys to leaving no doubt and making sure that there was no March Madness with this team.
There's a picture of you coming off the charter at the top step with the trophy, and you have it up basically for everyone to see and everyone to enjoy. What was that like to see that crowd waiting for you when you got back this afternoon?
Well, and that's exactly what I was thinking, Smokey, and that is it's everybody's trophy because we all won this thing together. So everybody needs to be commended and enjoy it because they're all part of this. And that goes for you guys as well. As you know, you tell our story and you provide an opportunity for our young people's platforms to grow, our programs' platforms to grow. So thank you guys.
Scott, when you prepare for a game and you think that certain things are going to happen and they don't, was there ever a sense of relief on the coaching staff that Gonzaga never made a run, or does that not really occur to you until after the game?
Well, first, you're always on pins and needles because it isn't over till it's over. And in fact, I think the largest comeback was 21 points, and I think the largest we led in that first half was 19, which means and today with pressing with the threes, I mean, leads swing so quick. So you're really on the edge of your seat until the game's over. And with that, the one thing is they're such an explosive team, and they're capable of scoring in bunches. That definitely keeps you on guard. And really credit our players to making sure that they never had a chance to make a run because either we had a big defensive stop, a big offensive rebound. We didn't turn the ball over. You look at the entire tournament, I think we had 4 turnovers, 6 turnovers, 9. I mean, I don't think we had double-digit turnovers the entire tournament. I don't know what we did. Hartford, the games are all kind of running together. But, I mean, we were really good from there on out. Wisconsin with only 4 turnovers. And that's that guard play, and you win with guards in March.
What was your message to the team at halftime? You guys were dominant in that first half, and then Gonzaga had a little run there to cut it to 10. But what were you saying to them? Was it just, keep doing what you're doing, basically?
Well, it was one, very positive, and number 2, we're 20 minutes from a national championship, and let's go out and win the first media. You look at it, I think we darn near won about every media in the second half. And with Houston, we had a bigger margin of victory, but we didn't win a lot of those medias in the second half. And we knew with only a 10-point lead against Gonzaga, that's not enough to let them come back. So really credit the guys coming out and starting strong, and then winning that first media, winning the second media, and then extending the lead rather than giving into it.
So who plays Scott Drew in the movie?
I'll let you figure that out. I don't know if Hollywood's got any guys ugly enough for me, but I can tell you one thing, that it'd be a great thing for the university and obviously this team, because everybody deserves it. And again, it's hard. That's why the last championship was. You're better at math than I am. How many years ago is that? 66.
1966 is 56 years ago. 55 years ago. Excuse me, 55 years ago.
Yeah, so that's a minute.
That's a half a century, man. There's no question about it. So, do you now have? I know you, and we all know you. You don't stop. Do you have time to decompress at least a little bit, or what?
Smokey, you know me. I can't stand not getting back to people, and there's been so many people reaching out.
Yep.
You want to get back to them, and every time you get your text messages under 400 or 500, it jumps back up to 700. So anyway, that's what my goal is today, to get get back to everybody that has reached out, because obviously appreciate them and their support.
What was it like to finally get to hug your family again after a month almost?
Yeah, that was awesome, and I can tell you that they're as tired as I am. Though they didn't get much sleep either. So I think it'll be lights out early tonight. As a parent, it's always hard getting young boys to bed early. Tonight might be the one exception to that rule.
Scott, to share this journey with your players, your family, but your coaching staff as well. I mean, we talked so much about. That coaching staff is thick as thieves. I mean, when you turned to the guys on the bench, just what were those moments like? As it kind of, realization set in that, hey, we've actually pulled this off?
Well, what's so great about that is we have guys that have been with the program for a long time, so they've put in the work. They've seen the tough times and the good times, and they just know how hard it is to do these things. And best coaching staff in America, no doubt. And I'm talking about our assistants. They make the players look good. They make me look good. Can't say enough great things about them. And obviously, Coach Tang's been here every step of the way. The only thing is, they got me because I wanted in the locker room to get Coach Tang with the water, and Coach Tang turned it on me, and I thought he was going to get it. So he's still clever now.
Hey, Scott, something that occurred to me last night that I hadn't, or it was before last night, about a week ago, but I didn't want to say anything and jinx it. But outside of guys getting COVID and the staff and everybody who had to deal with COVID, did you guys have any real injuries all year?
We were really blessed, and Dave Snyder, our trainer's done a remarkable job with the injuries and whatnot we had. He really sacrificed his time and energy to get people back and taking care of them. And Charlie Melton's the best strength coach in the country. He makes sure all the parts are moving right. I was injured for a minute after we won at West Virginia, trying to chase down the guys in the locker room with the water, and LJ got out, and I slipped and about killed myself. And when a coach goes down, you can't show any pain, right? So anyway, they had to get me right.
Well, go ahead.
I was just going to ask real quick, Coach, was that basically a coach's dream as far as your team's performance? Because it just seemed like you could put together a highlight reel for every player. And I know not every player was doing exactly what they would typically do, but, everybody contributed. It's not just saying it. That was a total team win last night. Well,
and that's where, we have a starting rotation. And when we go to the bench, usually they drop off. We go to the bench and we gain. And that's why we've been special all year. And we worn people down. We're able to play that aggressive defense, and then offensively, we were the second best offense in the country going into the game. And I don't know what we finished because we had a great offensive performance, but we put pressure on both ends of the court, and the players deserve all the credit for that, and all the sacrifices they've made for their teammates, and at the same time, sacrifices they've made to get their games to where they are now.
Scott, you're a national championship coach. A lot of throughout the day yesterday, throughout the weekend, there was a lot of people that started to play that part of your press conference when you were focused, razor sharp, and believing what you could do. I don't know if anyone else on the earth believed what you could do. I know some of those guys in the locker room that were so loyal to you, and we've discussed how you've remained in touch with them, and I know you need to go. But what's it like now to know that what you said actually came true?
Well, it means that other people have bought in and sacrificed as well, and because of the time they gave up and their energy and their resources to get better, meaning look at all the people that have helped us with locker room additions, weight room additions, the facilities we need to improve. Yep. It's a total team effort. You don't win without a great athletic director like Mack Rhodes, a great president like President Livingstone, without fan support. We've talked about that. I mean, it takes a team to win, and everybody's a part of it. I know they're talking about the parade, and I know one thing we'll do is we'll reach out to all the past players and coaches and make sure that they can be a part of that parade. If it's a walking, driving, whatever it is, they're in it because they're part of it. So that's what makes Baylor special. It's a great family atmosphere, and you really get more of that when you have longevity as far as staffs go, because players they commit to schools, but they commit to coaches and the relationships, and because you've had people that have been around, like Coach Tang for 18 years, guys want to come back and see them, and they want to come back and see Charlie Melton and the Jared Nunes's, and on and on and on. So that enables them to stay close to the program, and we can't thank them enough for what they've done for our program.
A year ago today, Coach, you were on our opening show. A year ago today, we started this journey with SicEm365 Radio, and even before that, you reached out to all three of us to see how we were doing and making sure we were fine. You gave us a gift on our one-year anniversary to talk about a national championship. I can't imagine anything else better.
Hey, well, I'm glad we could give you that because you guys deserve it. You guys are the best. We love you. We appreciate you. And you know what? There's 37 schools have won a national championship in basketball. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's hard to do. And you know what? You can talk about that for a couple weeks.
No, we will. we will absolutely do that. Right. Thank you. Congratulations. Listen, Scott Drew. Very nice. National championship head coach, along with his guys, his program, his staff. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Have a blessed day.
Unbelievable. I think that might be the first time I've ever felt compelled to clap in almost 40 years of doing much of anything. But I know what that means, and we also know what he's been like.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to go, super Homer radio and all that, but I think that if there's ever a time to sit back and give somebody some applause, it's Scott freaking Drew.
Yeah.
What they did last night, I mean, I know it's setting in, and the buzz is still all around Waco. You can feel it, man. It's different now. And, that was just incredible to witness.
Yeah, let's take this call. Bill in Austin, who I was about to take the call, and then Coach Drew called. So, Bill, thanks for being so insanely patient. I hope you enjoyed Coach Drew. I'm sure you enjoyed the game. But, Bill in Austin, you're on SicEm365 Radio.
Oh, no, man. Yeah, it was great listening to Coach Drew. And, I just wanted to say that, the emotion of everything that happened. And I called in the other show this morning and told him, I was in school as a junior sitting in my house with my roommates watching the whole Dave Bliss scandal unfold, thinking we weren't even going to have a program. And then 18 years later to be texting those same guys while we're winning the national title is just kind of a crazy thing to think about. And, I think something that this does is that we've been lacking kind of just as a school or alumni base, the athletic program, is it kind of gives us some, we've never won in football. We've only won in women's basketball. But this, I noticed I got a bunch of texts and stuff from UT friends today saying, congratulations. I think it just kind of puts us up to the pedestal one more level to other schools that have won, football titles, basketball titles. We're one of 37 schools to ever win the NCAA tournament. I think that's a pretty cool stat. So, congrats to everybody. Coach Drew, I hope he stays forever. And, appreciate the show. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for being patient with us as well. I was on today with the Big 12 Network with Ari and Tim Welsh, and also with Dave Archer, and then also with a couple. And they asked me, is Scott Drew going to stay in Waco? Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I think the answer is absolutely. This is we've talked about this before. This is his program. If Indiana and North Carolina and Arizona, and I don't even think we should discuss it, but I was asked that question. I hope he does stay around forever. Mack Rhodes has already said this. They'll do everything possible to keep him.
Well, if you just look at the guy's history, he's already been here for 18 years, and probably if he was a true, climber as far as school go to bigger and bigger schools, he could have left after they got to the Elite Eight the first time. Honestly, he could have leveraged that into any kind of job. And then he could have been at 4 other jobs. But who's his father? Where was he?
Yep,
Valpo the whole time. Who's one of his best friends in coaching? The guy he beat last night, Mark Few.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Few, they're not tearing Mark Few out of Gonzaga. And if you look around, look, people are staying places longer now. And they're not trying to do the whole jump the ladder thing because
there's a combination of both. Yeah.
But I mean, like you could have the cautionary tale of being Billy Gillespie.
Yeah, I think today what you think about is what they've accomplished and what he's done, and I think Scott Drew's going to be here a long ass time.
Yeah, I mean, it's the last thing on my mind, quite honestly, is Scott Drew's status as head coach the night after he won a national title. I have no worries about it. I have no even thoughts about it, quite frankly. I mean, and there's not even jobs that are open right now that would be worth him leaving Baylor. I mean, the guy just won a national title last night. So, screw coaching speculation right now. But who was our caller just a second ago? Bill, appreciate your phone call. To his point and what he was talking about, it was something I brought up yesterday. This is not the same old Baylor that it was just 24 hours ago, guys. That's
exactly
they've
right.
now won a men's basketball national title. Like he said, it's one thing. You could have 3 Lady Bears championships in women's basketball, and that's great. That was the thing that really kept them into consideration for, even talking about championships, quite frankly, in any sports. And so thank you to the Baylor women for, having the success that they have had and will continue to have. But when you add men's basketball and a national championship in that sport on top of what the women are doing, that's a completely different ballgame you're suddenly playing with. Anybody in the Big 12, you can go hire Chris Beard. He can go do his press conference, talk about being a Monday night program. Baylor is a Monday night program. They are a national championship program. There are no holes that you can put in your little message about Scott Drew and the Baylor program anymore. I mean, you can rehash the past all you want, but you can't say they haven't won the Big 12. You can't say they haven't lived up to potential. You can't say they can't win the big one. They've done it all. They've shut everybody up, and they've taken Baylor University as an athletics program and as a school to another higher level that, football ever wins one, that takes you to the ultimate top shelf. But, I mean, they're a step closer now than they were.
You know what this kind of discussion from the national media reminds me of is the morning after Vince Young and Texas beat USC because they couldn't wrap their heads around, USC was supposed to win. Okay, yeah, we knew Gonzaga was the best team for most of the year, but, there's some other factors that all happened. And, look, If they, who knows what happens? They play that game 10 times.
I think Baylor wins 8.
Yeah,
at least.
But again, Baylor showed how much better they were and how much more athletic they were in spots.
Well, yeah, they went big boy last night. They went big boy, and they did it against a team that was propped up, and we saw that with USC when Texas beat them in 2005. Greatest team ever, and they might have been up until that loss. And then we see that we want to crown teams as the greatest team ever, and sometimes forget there's others around them. If you think of what Baylor men's basketball did this year, they lost twice. They lost soon after, within a week after they came back from a 20-day pause, and they were not themselves. With all due respect to even an elite program like Kansas, they lost there. They were not the same. Then they lost in the tournament to a really red-hot Oklahoma State team who they had beaten twice. And they kind of lost their legs in the last 10 minutes of that game. They were almost perfect. And they, up until the pause, they had not had anyone closer than 8 points, as Scott Drew. No one closer than 9 in the tournament. Villanova had pushed them a little bit. Paul has said this to me all throughout the year, and Craig's even had to, it's fine. Because, I will pick it apart. They almost tease you, and then they swallow you. And then they spit you out. You think you're still alive, and then they swallow you again. That's what they did to Gonzaga early in the second half.
That's they're like a cat with a mouse.
Yeah.
They really are. Like, the mouse is like,
they don't want to kill it, keep it alive.
Yeah. Jared Butler stomped on the mouse in the first 2 minutes of the second half. He's had enough of this.
He'd shoot that. The mouse is dead.
I told JD and I were watching the second half here last night before the postgame show, and I said, look, that after Gonzaga closed well, they need to come out and make a statement. And as those words came out of my mouth, the ball goes into the hoop, and they've made a 3. And I was like, well, okay. That works.
Well, here was my biggest takeaway from last night was, we talk about really good teams. We talk about great teams. We talk about, all sorts of different types of teams. There's good teams, pretty good teams that go and win a national championship. That was a great, all-time great team that won a national championship last night. And let me tell you why. Because they ran through the tournament in the way that they did. But Whereas, some Matt Rule teams there at the end, they get that big opportunity and they just can't quite get it done. They just can't quite make that play or whatever and get over that hump. Baylor men's basketball saw that hump on the horizon, and they left no doubts. They went in there with a killer instinct and just completely from top to bottom left no questions. That's what all-time great teams do. They don't play with their food. They don't eke out stuff. They went in the national title game, put their foot down, and said, we are going to win this game, and we are going to make it crystal clear who the best basketball team in the country is. And they left zero doubt after the game. And that's what the great teams do. That killer instinct that just smash on them. Butler coming out to start the half like, oh, y'all think you'll have a chance? No, you don't. That was just – that's all you ask for as a fan is for your team to do what they did.
They played with controlled anger, controlled violence like Jeff Grimes wants his offense to be with football. They played under control, and they had a swagger, and they listened to all of the questions about whether or not they could play with Gonzaga. Yeah, they played with Gonzaga, like you mentioned, a cat and a mouse, and then they decided it was time to swallow what was the mouse. From Nate and Hewitt, this is an interesting note. Coach Drew now has as many national titles as Tom Izzo. Does he have one or two?
I don't know.
John Calipari,
I don't know.
Jim Boeheim, Bill Self. It puts you at a completely different level.
I had the thought last night, he's a Hall of Famer now.
With less than 400 wins because of what he's done. He's won a national title, and because he's got an incredible winning record.
Would y'all agree? I mean,
absolutely.
Because of what he took over and then now what he's done, and there's no reason to don't everybody get all greedy and start demanding national championships like they're candy now, but no matter what, Bob Stoops coached 20-something years and won one national title, and he won it in his second year on the job and never won it again despite multiple opportunities.
I don't remember that.
Scott Drew's had the flip, although he's still got, however long he chooses. So, I mean, the tale has not been, we're not done writing the tale of Scott Drew and Baylor men's basketball by any means, but I think the tale that's been written, not only are we going to probably see some movie spun out of it, and some book, I'm sure, spun out of it and all sorts of other different things. But I think he's got the Hall of Fame resume now, or as close to it as you can be with that title.
If Bill Snyder's a Hall of Fame coach at Kansas State, and he is in football because of what he did at Kansas State, they never did win a national title. They never played for a national title. They were close. And, yes, he coached a lot. Yes, Scott Drew's a Hall of Fame coach. His record is insane. He has a national title and one of the most dominant tournament runs ever.
Izzo only has 1-1. That's crazy.
He's been to a couple Final Fours, though. But in 2022, I think Scott needs a portrait down the road.
Portrait down the road.
The Texas Sports Hall of Fame.
Oh,
yeah. He's not in there yet. Yeah,
so that's a really good point. Yeah, there's no question. Okay, listen, we want to hear more. There's a lot of you that have texted us. We had Scott Drew. I don't know how much better we could start. RG3 is going to join us. He was at the game last night to give us what it was like to watch. Think about this. Baylor was a Heisman Trophy winner. They won 2 Big 12 titles in football, played for a third. They've won the 3 national titles with women's basketball. They have a lot of other things that they've done with other sports. They just won a big boy national title. That's it. The revenue producers are football and men's basketball, and they just stamped their name in history with what they did to Gonzaga.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a totally different stratosphere now. I mean, and Mack Rhodes, whenever we talked to him, one of the things he said when it came to dealing with the NCAA investigation and just all these different things that he took over is like, Mack, I mean, what can you do really about this? And I think he's constantly told us in so many words, like, we can just be the best that we can absolutely be and win. And that's the type of win last night. It's one thing you go win softball, all due respect or whatever, but there's only one title on the same footing as men's basketball, and that's the football title. So what they did last night was, it's just what the doctor ordered. And I had to pass along this tweet. I saw Alvin Brooks, the third Baylor men's assistant. He just posted a picture. I assume somebody took it and sent it to him, but he said, I haven't seen my sons in 27 days. Wow. And they were waiting on me at the curb, and it shows his 2 sons waiting on the curb for dad to pull up for the first time in 27 days. That's awesome.
That's a card.
Yeah,
that's a card right
awesome.
There. That's like a Father's Day card right there. Absolutely. All right, a lot of you have come on with us with a text. We have much more to get to. Robert Griffin III is going to join us. He was there. We'll hear as well from Mack Rhodes in his regular time at 4:20. money. I'm sure he is on fumes. We'll have him. John McClain, Baylor alum. You know how proud he is. And then Matt Norlander from CBS Sports wrote a column, one of many, about Scott Drew and what he's accomplished at Baylor. We have Jack McKenzie. He's yawning because he didn't go to bed. Armstrong Sims yawning because he didn't go to bed. I don't know if I did much bed.
I barely.
I know, maybe an hour and a half.
I stayed up watching like videos and reading interviews.
And highlight tapes and all the shows.
I took a ZQL at 2:30 a.m. and I still didn't go to bed for an hour.
Oh,
That's harsh, man. That's going to come back to hit you at about 7:45.
Yeah, probably.
On the way back this morning, I was in a hotel, and on my way back at the hotel, at the airport in Indianapolis, on the flight, went from Indy to Orlando because it was hard to get to Dallas, and especially hard to get from Dallas to Waco, where I flew out of 12, 13 days ago. Baylor fans were everywhere, and you can imagine a lot of them bought a lot of things. There'll be a lot of things to buy. There will be a celebration. There will be some sort of parade, and when we know, we will tell you about it. But here we go. RG3 and you, 254-339-1122, SicEm365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. They help you build things. Pioneer Steel and Pipe is Pioneer Boys, by the way, .com online. They help build things with what? Metal, steel, heavy-duty product, and they have been doing this and surviving the ups and downs. Now I say surviving. They have thrived through the ups and downs of anything with the economy. Whoever runs Congress, whatever the stock market is by, whatever's going on in the world, Pioneer Steel and Pipe since 1943 has thrived in what they do. Metal buildings, metal roofing, pipe and steel, and they are the leader. You don't go nearly 80 years without doing it right, and that also means great product and customer service. Man, I tell you what, I just got a text from Braden Embry. He was pumped up when I was up in Indianapolis because he's one of our sponsors of the show. They are just really, really good at what they do. And when you walk out off of where they are in either Bryan or Waco, you feel like you are basically the only one there because they make sure you're right where you need to be. We're happy and satisfied. Metal roofing, metal buildings, pipe and steel, Waco and also Bryan locations. Open Saturday, 8 till noon, pioneerboys.com.
How can we help you? That's a question we ask every day at American Bank. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Our commitment to our customers is what drives us. It's why we've invested in new branch buildings and technology like ITMs that let you speak to a teller face-to-face from your car. It's why we work with local businesses, helping Waco grow and thrive. And it's why decisions about your accounts and loans are made here in Waco by people who know you. How can we help you? Find out at American Bank, member FDIC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Ram Truck Month means special pricing on the new 2021 Ram trucks at Allen Samuels. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab, has special values up to $5,500 or 0% for 84 months. Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, Central Texas' new Ram commercial truck headquarters with 3,500 and 5,500 chassis cabs and other great work trucks. Visit Allen Samuels today. It's Ram Truck Month.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 superfan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
We talked about the dominance of Baylor during the tournament. The last time they trailed was against Houston with 16:48 to go in the first half. That's the last 76 minutes and 48 seconds in which they led the tournament. And they only trailed for like less than 2 minutes most of the tournament. It's incredible. We're now joined by someone who in person was there. He's made some of his own history in Baylor athletics history. Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, NFL veteran quarterback Robert Griffin III joins us on this 1-year anniversary of our show, where he was on with us a year ago as well. Robert, what was it like to be in there and in person to watch that last night? Thanks for your time.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me on. I mean, I think everybody in Baylor Nation can say it was incredible, right? It was fun to watch. You feel like we're all a part of that. Everyone who's followed Coach Drew's journey and this basketball program's journey since 2003 can understand just how impressive this rebuild and to get to the pinnacle of the sport and be the number one team in the nation champion is incredible.
Robert, you've been in games before where maybe you thought it was going to be one way going in, and then it turns into your team is blowing out the other one. What's that feeling like on this side of it of, oh man, we are dominating these guys?
Oh, I mean, it's a special feeling, but I don't know if that was necessarily the case. There's one thing that the basketball team has done a great job of all year, and that's had the best defense in the country. I believe Gonzaga had the most points, was scoring the most points in the paint all year, and our team was giving up the least amount of points in the paint all year. So it just came out that way, and I think, when you go in your first possession, you get 2-3 offensive rebounds on the first possession, and you know that you can control the boards because you come down, you do it again essentially, and they start the game off, 9-1. I think that settled the guys down to know that, look, no one can keep up with us. No one can play at the level that we can play. So we just got to keep going out and keep our foot on the gas. And that's what they did. And it was impressive to watch.
Just saw Mamadou taking a picture with Scott Drew fresh off the plane. That's so the celebration's going on. I mean, Robert, you were around Scott Drew when you were on campus. And what was it like getting to know him initially? And, I mean, you've seen how the program's risen. Just from your point of view, being a student on campus to now all these years later, can you kind of put their journey into your own words?
Yeah, I mean, I think the comparison that's fitting for what Coach Drew did for this team is essentially what happened with us and Coach Brow's football program. Taking a job that nobody really wants, building the program up from the ground up, and reaching the pinnacle of success. Obviously, we didn't win a national title, but Coach was able to lead those guys to back-to-back Big 12 championships. We won a Heisman Trophy, and put football dead smack in the talk of the national championship chase. So, for what Coach Drew's done, I think it's been incredible. For myself, personally, I was recruited by Coach Drew out of high school to play basketball, and we had a conversation when I did commit to Baylor to run track and play football that I would play basketball my senior year. But I never made it to my senior year. So we always joke about that and how, what it could have been like if I'd have played. I know Kendall Wright played and Levi Norwood played on the basketball team. So I've always had a really close relationship with Coach Drew. He begged me to play basketball while I was in college, and he's asked me a couple of times over the past years if I have any eligibility to come back and play basketball. As I posted some, making some shots in the gym or doing a dunk somewhere. He's always been really close and asked me to help out whenever I can. So I feel fortunate to have that type of relationship with Coach and to be able to watch him take this program to where he's taking it. He deserves everything. He deserves everything that he's getting right now, the cake, the cherry on the top, all the interviews, the press. Hopefully we can hold on to him. Hopefully nobody tries to come and steal him from us.
Yeah, and Mack Rhodes will join us at 4:20, and his job is to make sure that doesn't happen, and I don't think that it will happen. Robert, you were a part of making history with what you did and the Heisman Trophy, the pass to Terrence Williams that I think eventually built, that was the throw, that was the play that built McLean Stadium, and as you mentioned, led Baylor football to a certain level, and then they even went deeper. What was it like to watch somebody else do it?
Oh, man, I mean, first I got to say, a huge thank you to Chip and Joanna Gaines. They, blessed us with an opportunity to watch the national championship game in their suite, where, have always been A1 with me and my family since day one. So just want to say thank you to them for that. And, it was just surreal, to be honest with you. We're up in the suite and they're talking to me about, what's the biggest moment in Baylor history? And they're like, we think the Heisman is here and this and that. And I said, well, honestly, I don't think the Heisman is all that high. And I'm biased. Right, because you should be. You're not trying to throw what you've done out there before what other people have done. But I was there when the women won the national championship with Brittany Griner, and Kim Mulkey allowed me to cut down the net. And I view those opportunities and those moments bigger than the Heisman, just in my own mind, because it was about somebody else and watching somebody else do it. So to see them go out there and win the national championship and knowing their story, to me, was a surreal opportunity, surreal moment. Because what it feels like to be in those situations. Maybe not a national championship, but everyone that was watching from home, what it feels like to be in a situation where you accomplish everything you set out to go do. So when you watch them do it on national TV and you feel like you're a part of it, whatever draws you to Baylor, your alumnus, somebody that is an alumni, it makes you feel like you're a part of that too. So for me, it was awesome, and the cherry on the top was that I know Coach Drew, I know their story, and I know how hard they worked for this, and special.
Robert, to that end, one of the things that has always kind of impressed me about Coach Drew, and really, and especially since the last year that we've had, cynicism in the world is always on the rise, and he is the exact opposite of that. He's kind of the epitome of the subtle art of being a nice guy, and how nice guys finish last is not necessarily the case, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Every nice guy out there right now is smiling ear to ear, right? In school, I always felt like, I was the nice guy. No one wanted to hang around me. All the girls wanted the guy with the bike and the tattoos and all that stuff. So for Coach Drew, I was watching the pregame, and he was talking about how him and the head coach for Gonzaga were sending each other prayer texts every game leading up to the championship game. And they promised each other that we'll do this until we get to the championship. And he said then he won't be getting any prayer texts before this game. And to me, that just embodies his personality. Every time I've had an opportunity to talk to him, he's just bubbling with positivity. And when they don't accomplish what they want to, like they have, on occasion over the past 18 years, you always felt like he was learning something as a coach. You felt like he was teaching his athletes something in those moments. And sometimes you don't see that from coaches. Sometimes you just see them tear people down. And I feel like Coach Drew does a great job of building people up. And, I think that's why guys love him. That's why they love to play for him. I still remember the Tweety Carter, Lace Dunn days, Aaron Bruce days. I remember those guys, Quincy Acey, Corey Jefferson. I played with Corey Jefferson in high school also, by the way. But I remember all these guys, and I remember just the things that they talked about with Coach Drew. And Coach Drew, like I said, I've had a blessing. It's been a blessing to be a part of it with Coach because he has brought me in and brought me under his wing and talked with me and mentored me and allowed me to talk and be a part of the team over the past 10 years since I've been gone from college. So, that to me is just he's a special human being and he deserves all this.
What was it like in the arena, just from the fans' perspective? Smokey's kind of filled us in on the media side, but granted, not the full house it would normally be, but it sounded loud on TV. What was that experience like?
Guys, I'm not going to lie to you. There was more fans there than I thought there was going to be, right? They did the best they could do. I think they kept it down to 25% capacity. They had 2 rows between the fans in the rows, and they did all the social distancing stuff that they could do. But when I rolled up and pulled up to the stadium, it looked like a packed house to me, and it was extremely loud. I think fans were nervous, right? You jump out, we're up by 10, we're up by 16, we're up by 20, and then oh my gosh, at halftime we're only up by 10 points. Oh, everybody panicked. And there was a lot of panic in the arena. But I was talking to a guy that was next to me, and I said, all they got to do is get the momentum back when they come out of half, and it'll be okay. They came out, hit a couple big shots, got a couple stops, and boom, it was a rout once again. So it was incredible in the arena. The fans were almost in disbelief, not because they didn't know that Baylor was that good. We all know that they've been that good this year. They've been dominating teams. I think it was more so that it was Baylor, right? Mm-hmm. When we won the Heisman, people were like, oh, man, it's Baylor University winning the Heisman. And I think the Baylor Nation and the faithful, they carry that with them. They carry that burden of we're the little guy. We're not supposed to be here. And I think that's what makes it so special. The fans were in disbelief. They're like, oh, this is awesome because we are the little guy. And I think eventually people are going to realize that we're not the little guy anymore.
I was in the elevator on the way back to my room late last night, about 1:30 or so, with 2 Baylor fans, and I asked both of them. And I said, what does this mean to you? One of them teared up. One of them also told me, I don't care whatever we do the rest of the way. Now, fans say that, then they want to win, and I get that. But they said, we now belong. It's kind of what you were just saying, and I thought the emotions from those 2 guys were amazing. Hey, one quick note about spring drills. Baylor's in the early part of their spring drills. They got a quarterback room that's deep with a lot of young talent. Your thoughts about right now and the fact that they're able to experience that, because last year they never did get spring drills.
Yeah, that's important, 100%. The more football you play, I'm a firm believer in this. The more football that you play, the better you get. So as a team, I think it's a twofold thing, honestly. They don't have Charlie Brewer there anymore, right? Charlie transferred out, and they have open competition at quarterback. So I think that is a good thing. It kind of reminds me of, when I came in, and it was myself, Blake Zemansky, Kirby Freeman, Tyler Beatty, all competing out there to go, be the guy. I think that makes the team better when you have that open competition and there's no shoe-in as a starter. So, pray the best for Charlie, still talk to him to this day, but I think that's going to open it up for those younger guys to really go out there and put their stamp on the offense. And of course, coach is trying to have a great year this year because of the way last year went. So he's going to play the best guy, whoever is leading the best, moving the ball, knows the offense. So I think that's going to be really good for him. And then, like you said, those spring drills are going to be important because the more football you play, the better you get. Robert,
I know that free agency this year has been a little different. They can't take a lot of visits and all that, but options for you, what's the next step in your process?
Yeah, I've said this since the beginning of the offseason. Some guys at this point, I'm 31 years old. The opportunities to go out and be a starter, as they sit today, are slim to none. Those spots have been filled. So most guys in my situation, high draft pick, 31 years old, I made enough money to retire and take care of my family and future generations. They start thinking about what does it look like? They start thinking about let me go ahead and say I want to retire so that if I do retire, it makes it seem like it was my choice and no one forced me to retire. So here I am on the radio letting everybody in the world know that I want to play football, and I still want to play. So if I get that opportunity, I'll be ready to roll. There's opportunities around the league for me to come in and be a veteran backup and help a young guy. There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks drafted this year pretty high and early on, and I'd be willing to mentor any of those guys. But I think I got to go ahead and say it. I would love to come back home. I would love to come back and go to Dallas. I had looked at Houston early in the year, but they went ahead and brought in 2 guys, so I don't know what that looked like for me. But to be able to work with Dak Prescott and be a veteran leader in that locker room with the Dallas Cowboys would be incredible. So, that's I think that would be a good plan. It'd be a lot of nostalgia coming back home to be in Texas and play ball, since I haven't played ball in Texas at a professional level yet. So it'd be really cool.
Do you still want to do camps with Baylor, or like you did that one summer when Coach Rule was here? Is that still something of interest to you?
Yeah, it is. And actually, I talked with Coach Aranda about it. I think it's Aranda. I talked to Coach Aranda about it, and we tried to get last year. Obviously, COVID kicked that out. So we tossed around the idea, talked about it this year, and we still want to get it done. I think that we're still in talks right now about making that happen. If they do have the summer camp schedule operating and rolling, I think it's important. I think it's really important for me to get back and be around the university, just like I had started doing right before pre-COVID, and to hold those camps to continue to be an influence in the area, and also to just give back to the younger generation. To tell our camp went really, really well. And there's one kid, Cade Klubnik from Westlake. Yeah. He actually came into camp, and I actually formed a good relationship with him. And, I can't say I tried to get him to go to Baylor because I didn't, and that's legal. And I'm on the radio right now. So, but he ended up committing to Clemson. And I think that was, it was big. I don't take any credit in that. The kid is phenomenal, great personality, but me and him really kicked it off really well. And I look forward to continuing to build those types of relationships with the younger generation. So I think that's why the camp is important, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, RG3, it's great to hear that you're still going to be working with the football team, and very cool to see you there last night with Chip and Joanna and all the rest of the Baylor folks, man. Really appreciate you hopping on with us a day after a Baylor men's basketball national title. I mean, who would have ever thought, but here we are, and it's reality. So very cool to have you on, man.
Well, appreciate you guys. As always, God bless Sic'Em Bears, Baylor Nation. We're national champions, baby.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. RG3, man, he was having fun. He was in the suite with Chip and Joanna. A lot of people were there. And I'm going to say this again. I was in the stadium, not bragging because I never take it for granted, but Baylor Nation this weekend was big. I'm telling you right now, you were heard, you were seen, you were a factor, and you absolutely helped with what I saw and heard last night and also Saturday against Houston.
I know we got to go, but we've been talking a lot about, just the step up in stature that Baylor athletics takes, and the university even as well, with a win like last night. I mean, that's just how big winning a men's basketball national title is, but just so incredibly impressive with how they did it, the group that they did it with, the coaches that they did it with, to see Chip and Joanna and Robert, it was like Waco royalty was there, all in the booth together, and it was just it was picture perfect. And when they went and played Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, I mean, that wasn't championship stakes because obviously it wasn't a playoff game, but I remember being around New Orleans, and that Baylor team was pretty good. They weren't so good that you felt confident against everybody, and I remember not feeling a whole lot of confidence with them going toe to toe with Georgia. Part of that was the Matt Rule stuff that was swirling, but I think also part of it was that just, are we ready for this kind of, are we on that Georgia level? You know what I mean? Like, it just, there's a step that you have to take up, and men's basketball did that last night. There wasn't that doubt around town, I would imagine, of people not all that confident or unsure, or we're Baylor, and so that means, the bottom's about to fall out. It didn't. And, it just goes to show you that it can be done, and man, just incredible job by all involved.
Soak it in, enjoy it, be proud of it, do whatever you want, have fun, and then you know what? You start to put the pieces back together. Guys have decisions, just like the Lady Bears have decisions, just like football players have decisions, and then you move on. We have blown out the first hour. Paul, I know we're behind on a break. Jack McKenzie, Armstrong Sims. On the set, you see Right now, again, the flowers for the first-year anniversary, the cake, SicEm365 Radio's first-year anniversary, and I forgot to mention, right in front of my laptop is the Final Four book that we have from, of course, up in Indianapolis.
I mean, I feel bad we didn't tell the audience. I mean, I can't believe we held on to this secret for an entire year that we'd be celebrating our 1-year anniversary and a Baylor men's championship all at the same time. This is how we planned it.
We promised that in 2003.
It was very meticulous.
Yeah.
I had to, I had to cast some sort of voodoo spell on
Right.
Corey Kispert last night.
Yeah.
That was very tough.
I mean, what are the odds, though, that 1 year, and we're talking about the first ever Baylor men's basketball national championship, just couldn't have worked out any better. So it's just funny timing, but, man, I'll take it.
Mack Rhodes is back as well. He was a part of that bubble. I watched him at times during the games, and he can wear a mark in a carpet from one part, because he was on the other side. He's in the bubble, but he's on the other side behind what is the long courtside table with some of those who are doing what they do to run the clock and whatever else. And I'll talk about that with him. Among many things, this is SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. I'm sure they are having a fun time over at the dealership today, not only because they typically have a fun time over at Richard Carr, but especially because, they support the community. They support the Baylor Bears, and they were very happy to see that national championship last night, just like everybody was, and celebrate the national championship by saving on new cars and trucks or used car and trucks during the 22-year anniversary sales event going on right now at Richard Carr. They've got anniversary savings on all cars and trucks on the lot, which includes all 2021 Buicks. They've got deep discounts. You can save $4,500 on 2021 Buick Encores. You can save $3,500 on 2021 Buick Encore GXs, $3,500 on 2021 Buick Envisions. You can save $6,000 off 2021 Buick Enclaves, or qualified buyers can get 0% financing for 72 months. And if you're looking for the best truck, well, then you're looking for a GMC. And you can find savings like $8,000 off a 2021 GMC Sierra, or you can save $6,500 on 2021 GMC Acadias or Terrains. So, like I said, lots of deep discounts, lots of cars and trucks on the lot that could be yours with tons in savings. Rich Car Motors, they're your local family dealer. They want to earn your business, and they want to do so with great prices. They also want to do so with free oil changes when you buy a new vehicle and priority warranty service on all vehicles purchased on their lot. So come by their clean and disinfected showroom to take a test drive, or let them bring the test drive to you. It's the big 22-year anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy, last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
You can look at that cake while you can, because in every break, Armstrong Sims has taken one more little chunk right out of it.
I guess they didn't feed people at McLean Stadium last night that were watching the game on the Jumbotron. And you know, it was funny to watch the field rushing on a football field for a basketball title. But it worked. It worked for all of you in attendance. It worked, and it was a good look. And I actually saw, there was of course, the hand wringing of like the same 5 people of, oh my God, we can never leave our homes. But I think there were a lot of people that were actually had no dog in the fight that saw that and were like, it feels good. Yeah. It feels good to see that. It feels good to just see some celebration and some excitement.
Let it rip.
There's, and it like makes me nervous. Like, and part of it's just a year. It makes me nervous when I see the Rangers. I see that happening, and then the other part of my brain goes, look, there's vaccines now. People have made their choices. We know what to do.
I love it.
Like, had that been happening a year ago, I'd have been like, guys, yeah. I don't think there would have been a watch party. Yeah, so look, it's. I think it's going to be fine.
It is time to enjoy your life.
Yeah. And it was a lot of people.
We got to make
it wasn't
up a break.
80,000 people.
Yeah. 49,000 in the Rangers. And of course, there's oh my God. And then last night there were 10,000 inside that arena. And I was there 4 or 5 different, 3 or 4 games and on an airplane, going to different places. It was fine. 832, the love the show. My question about the conference. Does our win last night finally help the Big 12 get the respect they deserve in the national conversation? One of the most difficult, if not the most difficult, up and down. They have respect when it comes to basketball, but winning national titles and winning them more than once since 2008, it sure doesn't help hurt, because now, go add another one. Go get another one in the next 2 to 3 years, if not next year, whoever it might be.
And it's a different school winning it. The reason the SEC gets so much respect in college football is it's not so much the recency of it, because recently it's pretty much just Alabama, but it's just in their history in the last 20 years. Florida's won one, Alabama's won a bunch, LSU's won, Auburn's won. So a bunch of different schools have won. So it's not just this is the good school in your conference. So Kansas has won one in the last 15 years. Baylor's now won one. Texas Tech's played for one. So you start saying like, all right, well the Big 12 is for real.
Yeah, the SEC's had multiple teams win it. They've also had ESPN in their back pocket to promote them like they're just a step above everybody else, which certainly helps because then people start to believe it. And that's why we have, for the last 10 years, had this idea in everybody's mind that, only the SEC plays defense, and then in the last 2 years it flips to, wow, what incredible offense. That's all media playing with people's heads because of the way that they're viewed and judged differently. But yeah, now with Baylor winning the title, I mean, you have to give the Big 12 respect, and the fact that it is not Kansas does make a world of difference. So what Tech couldn't do, Baylor did, and they did it emphatically. And yeah, it's huge for the conference. I think it's huge for the university and the conference's eyes. I don't know if Mack Rhodes would say it, but for as cool and calm as things seem to be, it certainly doesn't hurt to win a men's basketball national title and be the only team not named Kansas doing it. I think that has your brethren around the Big 12 probably saying, hey, good job, and glad that you're with us, because the rest of the conference sure didn't show up past game number 2 of this tournament, so Baylor carried the torch for everybody.
254, Daniel, it was fun last night. Coach Drew will now have to reload with 4 or 5 great players gone. It'll be a great test, but I believe Coach Drew will be up to the challenge, and you know what? That's part of it. You win, you lose people, you move on, and you do it again, and you find a way, and they've got a lot of guys in the wings from the 817. A few days before the season began, my uncle passed away. Our family has been season ticket holders for 35 years. Looking forward to this season so much. Being in the building last night was a mix of joy and regret, wishing he was there to see the Bears finally reach the summit. The season has been bittersweet, but Baylor basketball has given our family something to look forward to, talk about, gather around after these difficult months. And for that, I will always treasure this season. Often we take our fandom too far, but this season our family has been made better for Baylor fans in following the special team. They played for the right reasons. They played with joy, and we as a fan base will treasure the ride they took us on forever. Brian Bauer sent me a text last night smoking a cigar after the game was over, thinking about with his father, David would have been there, how much he would have enjoyed the national championship.
You know who I've been thinking about all night is Butch Henry.
Yep.
Who ran the shot clock forever there, and we lost Butch last summer, and there was nobody who loved Baylor basketball more than Butch, and I know that last night was a dream come true for him, and he and Mr. Bauer and everybody else that didn't get to see it here, yep. they were watching it.
And guess who else was there? The Immortal 10.
That's right.
Think about that. How much the presence maybe they had. I'm not trying to get spooky or anything, but you never know about what that meant because of that tragedy with the train wreck as well.
Depending on what you believe, there was a lot of people that we didn't even know existed that were Baylor fans way back in the day. They were all smiling down. So yeah, I mean, for everybody past and present that supported or loved the program, no matter what seat you were watching from, you had a smile on your face, and definitely think of Butch and all the years that he was watching Baylor basketball and probably never thinking a night like last night would happen. And that goes for many others. I mean, I don't know that I'd say I ruled out it ever happening, but I never really considered it as something all that realistic. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, even all year long, it's like they're on this great run, but I don't know, being around in Waco long enough, I guess I kind of have developed those same feelings as Baylor fans if you're sort of waiting for, the shoe to drop, and they're not quite going to go all the way or quite cap off the run, even though, the Lady Bears have done it or A&T's done it, but they did it. They did it, and they are the national champions, and it's amazing.
We have heard from Scott Drew, who called in early in the show. We've heard from Robert Griffin III, who was there, who also helped create history for Baylor, and the athletic director of this program, of all of the programs, and Mack Rhodes will join us very soon. From Cliff Brunt, AP, I mentioned this earlier. Think about this. Did we just witness one of the greatest college basketball teams of the last 40 years and not realize it until the last 40 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. No, I mean, that's, immediately after the game, I was watching all the different reactions, and to see so many, and I know I'm a talking head, so I don't say this, with an insult, but to see all the talking heads just kind of stumble over themselves to try and explain what they had just seen, or, and it, there was so much talk about Gonzaga, and to be beaten the way that they were beaten by Baylor, and just so matter-of-factly, I just think it stunned people. It stunned me that they made it look as easy as they did. But, yeah, just because they've got a couple of losses, you take into consideration KU was after a break, and then Oklahoma State was, the hottest team in the country at that time with Cade Cunningham. I mean, they were playing pretty good basketball, so that wasn't a gimme. So they lose a couple of games. I don't think that should eliminate you from all-time greatness talk, because if Gonzaga was getting it and then Gonzaga just got their butt spanked on national television, then the team that did that must be pretty good. And I do think this Baylor team deserves to be in the all-time discussion. They're not the greatest team of all time, but they are one of the greatest teams of all time.
All right, we got a break here, right? And I don't know if we're going to make up that one break, Paul, you're talking about. Mack Rhodes will join us at 4:20. More from you, 254-339-1122 on the day after Baylor wins the national title. This is SicEm365 Radio. Cat skin leather. Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco. They have it. Maybe you have a truck, an SUV, or a car where the seats have been worn out, and you've always wanted maybe cat skin leather. Cat Skin's the leader brand of leather replacement seats, and Pickup Outfitters of Waco is a Cat Skin authorized dealer and also preferred installer. They'll remove the old cloth from your seats, replace it with luxurious customer leather, and the customization options are endless. Choose colors you want, the type of stitching you want, and then let Pickup Outfitters do their magic. A very cool video, in fact, about the process and what they can do with cat skin leather and also changing your seats, the covers, on CreateACommotion.com. Jay Errett, proud Baylor alum, his wife Carol as well. Custom leather seats, factory matching leather kits. They have those as well at Pickup Outfitters. They'll outfit your truck with cat skin leather. Go on the website to look at the process, the video of exactly what they do at CreateACommotion.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's a name and a memory that called us back. It's a belief and a labor that will carry us forward. It's a time and experience that will make you return. The new Bear Ridge Golf Club, a space revitalized, a course restored, a new experience. For a tee time today, call the Pro Shop at 254-848-7800. Go to BearRidgeWaco.com, just south of Waco on Highway 84. Come join us at Bear Ridge Golf Club.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhodes is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
One local note, Tyler Holcomb, who was the head coach at Riker, is now the defensive coordinator at Waco High as they continue to fill out the staff under new head coach. So he now is the defensive coordinator at Waco High. Congratulations to him being a part of that staff with Coach Help, and good for him. Also, Nalissa Smith was named to another All-American team. No call?
No,
he just dropped off?
Yeah.
All right, we were about to go to a call, but you dropped off. We'll hear from Mack Rhodes here momentarily. Matt Norlander from CBS Sports wrote a really nice article. There were dozens and dozens of them last night written after the game, about Scott Drew, about Baylor men's basketball. Baylor became the second team in history to win the men's national title and lead the nation in three-point accuracy in the same season. Indiana in 1987 was the last. And I saw David Kay put up a note that Baylor could have missed like their last 200 and some no, maybe not that many, but could have missed a ton, like dozens of threes, and still led the nation in three-point accuracy. So that's, again, and they were 10 of 23 last night. They mauled Gonzaga 38-22 on the boards, and the energy from start to finish was truly, absolutely amazing. All right, Armstrong Sims runs the mothership on this one-year anniversary of this show launching on SicEm365 Radio. And once we get Paul to stop doing his own talk show with Mack Rhodes, maybe we'll have a chance to do our show with him as well. We're now joined by the athletic director of the national champions men's basketball program, Mack Rhodes. How much did you sleep last night or this morning?
I think went to bed at 5:30 and got up at 7. So good hour and a half.
It's a good power nap.
Little cat nap. Yeah.
Can you just kind of put into words what this has meant?
Man, there's a lot to it. It's I think for the young men, for our student athletes, right? For them, it's a culmination. Excuse me, but I think it's a culmination of just hard work and togetherness, and this. I think it's just gratifying for them to be able to, fulfill their dream, fulfill their goal. I think for Scott, it's probably not wanting to speak for him, but I think it's probably a little bit of sense of relief. But if you Scott, I think it's more about jubilation for everybody other than him, right? All the people around that get to enjoy it. That's just who he is and how he's built. I think for the school, right? Just another time for us all to just come together and be grateful and thankful for what athletics does for the university and again, just a time for people to just fellowship. And for me, it's a lot. For me to be in the bubble for I don't know how many days we were in the bubble, but to be around our student athletes and our staff, wouldn't have traded it for anything. I mean that. there was just a handful of athletic directors that went into the bubble. And what was interesting, the Gonzaga AD was also in the bubble, so we had quite a bit of opportunity to visit. But just a really special time that's hard to put into words. It's not any one word, right? But for me, just grateful to be part of it. And the program, and the Scout talks about joy, Jesus, others, yourself, and to really live that out, talk about it right, but to live it out, and at all times, throughout the journey, starting with Hartford, Jesus was one, and playing for others, and then yourself third, and I think that's part of why this team was a special team.
Mack, after this whole year of COVID and everything you guys as an athletic department has had to navigate, and pauses and starts and stops, was there for you a feeling of just washing over relief and reward last night when the clock hit zero?
Yeah, it was like this deep breath, just kind of exhaled, and just kind of, we did it. We did it, right? We fought, we scratched, we clawed, right? Made it over every hurdle, every challenge, and we're finally here. And again, that doesn't happen without a special group of people, and so many. Starting with Scott and Jerome and Alvin and John and Jared Nunez and AD and Ty and Coach Peterson, and just the entire group, Don Rogers, and health and wellness staff, Dave Snyder. I mean, just everybody. And I texted my executive team and just told them that, hey, we don't do this without you. We don't do this without your staffs, right? Everybody had a piece of it, and that's what makes it so special.
Mack, I know that it remains to be seen the after effects of winning this title, but can you begin to wrap your mind around and explain how game-changing winning a men's basketball national title is for the athletic department and also the university? I mean, just in terms of today, the exposure on Good Morning America, all the media attention, alums are obviously over the moon. I mean, this it seems like it opens the door in a new way for Baylor athletics. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that, Craig, I think it's a really fair statement, and I'm not even sure that we know yet all of the residual, the positive residual, the byproduct of winning the national championship. But you already mentioned some of it, right? Just national TV. We don't. I haven't heard the ratings yet for the broadcast, but that was a 2.5 hour commercial for Baylor University. And the branding and all of it, leading up to that, the Final Four. You mentioned the media appearances, television appearances this morning, and my goodness, what better student athlete to have in front of a national audience than Jared Butler. Represents everything that is great about college athletics, and as you mentioned, our alums, including former student athletes, including former players, but just to everybody, just this huge sense of pride and excitement. Getting texts from literally all over the country, and your brand partner Nike is fired up, right? All of those things are just a plus and extremely positive for the university.
Did you, when they finally cleared out the stadium, did you request that 25 to 40 foot part of the carpet that you ruined, pacing back and forth? I want to try to paint a picture for everybody. The teams are on the other side, and then there's a table near the court. And then you have like your clump who are in the bubble, including Don Rogers and others who are part of the staff in basketball. And then I told you this. I was going to take a video of it, but I thought it was almost too private to take because I know what would be. It's like you're like a father of a bunch of children watching them play.
That's exactly how it felt. Playing right. You have control of the situation, and there might be some nerves when you start, but all goes away once you begin. Once you tip off. But man, when you're just sitting there watching and you have no control, and because you have such great love for the kids out on the floor and for Scott and the staff, right? It's like watching your own kids compete. And I don't know how to describe it. It's just hard. It's just really, really hard. And you want it so bad for them. And yet, you really don't, you don't have your hands on the wheel to help them, right? Achieve it. And so I really, as you can tell, I really struggled with it. And the best way to probably remain calm for me was just to pace back and forth a little bit.
It's fun. It was really entertaining.
Well, hey, you didn't have to be too nervous last night because that game open and you did it very emphatically.
You could have had a recliner the last couple of games.
But Mac, there's not really a point total big enough to stop you from pacing, though, is there?
No, not against Gonzaga. That's what was so crazy. You just kept expecting them to just tear off some points in big chunks, and every time they whittled it down a little bit, our guys just the toughness, man, they came right back, and just a credit to our kids. And I don't want to overstate, but somebody wrote an article this morning, and they talked about that, hey, maybe we just completely missed it, right? It took the last 40 minutes of the season to maybe figure out that one of the greatest basketball teams of all time wasn't Gonzaga. It was Baylor, and that's how it felt last night, man. The performance was off the charts, and again against a really, really good Gonzaga team.
Mac, does the basketball arena move to the top of the pile a little bit after that? I know that you have schedules, but because things happen, look, we saw it happen with the football stadium. RG3 threw a pass to Terrence Williams, and while it was being talked about, it was still kind of in the maybe phases, and then all of a sudden that happened. It was like, not maybe anymore.
Yep.
Yeah. Have you and Scott been talking? Because that's the same question that he asked me at about 5 a.m.
Yeah, he was on with us live to start.
He didn't bring it up, though. He didn't bring it up.
No, yeah, he did. He brought up facilities. Yep, he absolutely did. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's, hey, look, it's a reality. It's the way sometimes those things happen and speed up and momentum, and you never know. We feel like we're trying to push it as fast and as quick as we possibly can, but maybe this helps for us to speed it up even a little bit more. So, but you're right. It's reality and how it happens. And look, that's what's so awesome about this. It's just the pride and excitement that just everybody that's affiliated with the Baylor family feels. And it's awesome. It's really cool to see and be a part of.
Mac, what do you remember about first meeting Scott Drew?
Is he real? Yeah. I mean, it's, he's so positive, with such energy, and you're like, wow, is he real? And it doesn't take you very long to figure out that yeah, he is. That's who he is, and just a good person. And
Hold on, we lost him off the Bluetooth.
All right, we'll
there it is.
reconnect with
Yeah,
Mac.
we got you again.
Okay. And so just you understand that it is real with Scott, and he is genuine, and he is that good a person. And what you love about it is you can run a Christ-centered championship culture program and win it all. And it validates that. It validates that good people that do it the right way, right, can win at the highest level. And so other than our student athletes, right, other than our young men, there's nobody that I'm more happy for than Scott Drew, because man, it's one of the greatest rebuilds in not just college basketball, but all of college athletics. And we were talking to the team. Scott wanted me to say something to the team about the last team in the state of Texas to win a national championship, and so he get into the conversation with the team about Glory Road. And by the way, Mark Vidal said that if they make a movie, he's going to play himself. And, so I thought that was awesome. But when you talk about this movie, what Scott walked into, and you think about the years, and it culminates with this, that is very, very much movie like. And again, he's done just an unbelievable job.
Mac, last question I have, and you didn't need this, you didn't ask for this, but Craig kind of asked it as well in a different way. Does this validate the Baylor the Baylor athletic department for anything down the road when people start to look at possible changes in realignment?
And I would hope that, period, whether it's realignment or anything else, right? I hope, just what has happened over the last, 4 years, right? A national championship in women's basketball, a national championship in men's basketball, New Year's Six bowl game, Sugar Bowl, that, we're a healthy athletic program. And we talked about, being a top 5 athletics program in the entire country when we arrived. And you think about those 3 sports, you think about all of our other sports and where they're ranked and how they're doing. And we've been able to build it. And I think we can say that we're top 5, and yet nobody's satisfied. And we want to continue to push and be better and do more and remember that, it's always for his glory. The minute it becomes about us, we'll certainly end up screwing it up. And so we'll continue to push and try to get better and again for his glory.
Thank you, Coach
Mack Rhodes.
Mack Rhodes. Thank you for, and I'm telling you, I can't imagine you had to sacrifice yourself along with many others. There's a picture. I don't know if you've seen this. Alvin Brooks III. Craig showed it to us. There's a picture of out in the front of his driveway, right next to the curb, are his 2 sons who he has not seen for basically a month.
It was 27 days.
27 days, and they're both sitting there on their butts right there in the front of the driveway waiting for Dad to come home. And you imagine how, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
It's a Hallmark card if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, that needs to be a card immediately. I didn't know if you'd seen that. You may want to try to see if somebody can send it to you.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Welcome back from Indy. And, man, just we've talked about a lot of things, but to witness that last night, that was as special as you obviously know, and we just appreciate your time.
Well, appreciate you guys. Thank you for covering it and the way you cover it. So grateful to the three of you.
You don't know this as well. This is 1 year from when we launched this show.
Today, yeah.
Today.
Oh, wow. Happy 1 year anniversary.
Yeah.
And really thrilled and happy for you guys. Because it's a great show and just appreciate how you guys do it. So
thank you, Mac. Appreciate that. That's Baylor's Director of Athletics, Mack Rhodes, with us on Tuesdays. They're back. They had their celebration. They're planning some other events as well. And as they become available, you could, of course, get that information from Baylor or on BaylorBears.com.
Sounds like there's going to be some good sleep had tonight in Waco, Texas. Just everybody, even for ourselves, because I think we all even stayed up probably later than we anticipated, just looking at videos and interviews. I mean, I watched that condensed 10-minute highlight reel of the game. I watched that probably 4 times. I mean, just to see how dominant they were. And
I was trying, after I stopped, I said, I've got to stop watching basketball stuff and reading stuff. So I intentionally put on I went to documentaries on streaming and found the most boring thing.
Just to try to get you to sleep. Getting off the airport in Orlando.
The history of grass.
Getting off the airport in Orlando from Indianapolis, and I mentioned there's a lot of Baylor fans that were a part of that flight, and all the way from Orlando to Dallas, there were sports bars or places that were having whatever they were, whether Bloody Marys or just some breakfast, and TVs with all the coverage, and you could see fans stop and look up at the TV, and just you couldn't hear it, but they were watching it because you soak it all in as much as you can. All right, when we come back, you know what? It's the week of the Masters. How about that? It starts Thursday at Augusta National, and we'll have a couple of notes about that as well. Plus, we'll have Matt Norlander on Baylor's national title at 5, and then also John McClain at 5:35. And let's take more calls and even more from us and you about what you experienced watching Baylor win the national title. This is SicEm365 Radio. Well, I tell you what, I got a picture from Brian Bauer from Waco Custom Marketplace, Ben Erlinson, and others who last night lit one up. A cigar, by the way, after the national championship win by Baylor, as alums of the school and, of course, others who are fans of the school. Had a good time and enjoyed themselves as they should. And they were sending me pictures of cigars. And I even had a friend of mine, Danny, who lives in the South, and he's a huge Baylor. He's a Baylor alum. He sent me a text. He likes to smoke cigars. And he was sending me a picture of a cigar he was going to smoke if Baylor won. I didn't hear from him late last night because it was so late by the time that game ended. But you can get yours if you want. Cigars, the best that there are made at Don Humidor in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. Don Humidor has Ashton, Macanudo, Padron, Cohiba, Rocky Patel. Also, if you want... they have My Father, which is the one that Brian Bauer, in fact, because, of course, he lost his dad, as we know, back just a few months ago, and he wanted to have that cigar. His dad was such a big Baylor fan. If you like cigars, they have them. You also have fresh coffee beans, all the flavors and aromas and taste. And then, of course, they have CBD products if you're interested. I don't know if many people would need a CBD product tonight to sleep after getting basically no sleep. I bet on average Baylor fans maybe got 2 or 3 hours of sleep last night. So you probably don't need Vita Dreams, but they have that as well at Don Humidor in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Listen, in the past couple of years, we've had a lot of people moving in from out of state to Waco thanks to Chipper and JoJo. And while we welcome these new citizens, they unfortunately brought some of their bad habits with them. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, and you know what I'm talking about. Naked trucks. You'd think everyone moved here from McNewtville, but we shouldn't judge them, we should help them. For example, when you see a recent transplant truck from a less civilized state like California, instead of saying, "Your truck is disgusting, your bed is exposed, get a bed cover on that truck, buddy," that's a bit harsh. Instead, try something like, in Texas, it's not polite to drive around with your bed exposed. Maybe you should check out the excellent selection of bed covers at Pickup Outfitters. And then if they refuse, you can say, "Well, I hear New Mexico's a nice state." Let's help our new neighbors and let them know that truck nudity is not okay. Let them know about Pickup Outfitters of Waco and send them to our website, createacommotion.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Scott Drew's dream comes true. Coach Drew and Baylor complete college basketball's greatest rebound and rebuild with a championship.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Matt Norlander, CBS Sports at 5. We'll also hear from John McClain. You know he is pumped up from the Houston Chronicle. Also the latest with allegations against Deshaun Watson. The NFL now getting a little bit more involved in that as well. From Daniel and then Craig's segment, Off the Radar. The thing I really missed last night was not being able to talk to my dad. He grew up in South Bend, Indiana, graduated from Arizona, experienced their national championship under Lute Olson in '97, but he died the next year. He loved college basketball, and we used to talk endlessly about the game. We probably would have stayed up really late last night talking about it like a lot of you were able to do. All right.
I think that's the coolest thing is just hearing all the Baylor fans who, we talked about Butch Henry earlier, but I've come across a lot of Baylor people. It's a legacy thing. A lot of Baylor people, their kids go to Baylor, and so to see the family connections is really cool as well. And you can celebrate those still with us and those looking down from above for sure.
All right, it's time for Craig and that Tuesdays and Thursdays Off the Radar.
It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar.
All right, so what we do with this segment, which we're kind of just getting started here in the last couple of weeks, is just take a look at some stories that are either completely off most people's radars or maybe you've seen some talk about it, but we ourselves have not had much time to talk about it. I want to start off with the ratings from last night. Mack Rhodes had just mentioned the TV ratings. He hadn't seen them just yet, but the TV ratings for Baylor and Gonzaga are in. And you talk about exposure, guys. I did see where that Baylor-Houston game had bit over 8 million viewers on Saturday. That's a healthy number. How about the exposure? Put it in monetary terms of 16.92 million viewers on CBS. Now, viewership was down 14% from the last NCAA title game back in 2019. However, a lot has changed since that game 2 years ago. It was the most watched basketball game since the 2019 NBA Finals final game that crowned a champion. So, 16.92 million people watched Baylor beat down Gonzaga last night.
It's priceless. Absolutely priceless, no question about it. And you're talking about two smaller schools. I don't know what the attendance is or the enrollment is at Gonzaga. But these
and
are
a late start.
And a 9:20 Eastern start. Believe me, I feel every bit of that. But, that's still a huge number. And obviously, I thought it would be a little bit bigger because it was the first one in 2 years, but that's still a big chunk. Good for them.
Maybe the numbers are down because you tipped off at 9 o'clock on the East Coast with, 10 of this country's most populous cities. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
But hey, Los Angeles got to watch, make sure that they're okay.
They
Seattle
watched it during breakfast.
Right.
Nobody cared. Nobody cares about the guy in Atlanta who wants to watch this game or Charlotte, North Carolina, New York City, Philadelphia, Boston. No, but McMahon, Salem, Oregon.
Yeah, I've got to have that audience.
Good job.
Hey, that's a big number. It's not, the highest ever, but it's a healthy number. So you got to be excited about that if you're a Baylor and Gonzaga fan. Because you did wonder, just a late start, two teams that aren't real well known, and they crushed it. Rougned Odor is no longer a Texas Ranger. He is now a member of the New York Yankees. The Rangers will receive minor league outfielders Antonio Cabello and Josh Stowers. The Yankees get Odor and also cash considerations, while the Rangers will absorb nearly the entirety of his $27 million that is still owed to him from that big fat deal he got after, looking good for a short stint. They just rewarded him, and at the time, nobody thought it would blow up the way that it did, but it blew up, and now they're eating the money. He's due $12 million this year, $12 million next year. And there's a buyout and a club option eventually.
Continuing the long tradition of the Rangers paying people to play for the Yankees.
Yeah, basically.
Which they did with A-Rod. The day that A-Rod signed his new deal with the Yankees that they announced during the World Series, which everybody was mad at A-Rod for doing, I remember thinking, is that like the Rangers, ex-wife getting remarried so they don't have to pay alimony anymore?
Yeah.
Super happy about that. Yeah, look, Rougned Odor in that Yankee Stadium, being a left-handed hitter with pop, he's not going to start for them, but, he could be a bat off the bench and give them some pop. And, sometimes you look at, I've been in that stadium, and it looks like it's 190 feet to right field, but
he'll be fine because he doesn't have to be good.
No.
Yeah, there's not really going to be expectations for him, and he's not going to be relied upon as, a big-time star for them. So, Rougned Odor no longer a member of the Texas Rangers. He is instead a member of the New York Yankees. Bouncing around, Barry Alvarez has announced his retirement after 32 years as Wisconsin's coach and also athletic director. So, Barry Alvarez no longer
He did a hell of a job, but I think the last 2 years, 4 years, he's been too much of a shadow, kind of like almost overkill. And so but they won a ton of championships across the board in very many sports.
That's another big voice, though, an influential voice for the Big Ten Conference that's not there anymore. And I think, one thing I think, I thought this during COVID, if Jim Delaney was around running the Big Ten, there's no way they would have made to look foolish like they did last year.
Oh, no.
And now Barry Alvarez is gone too, and that's another big influential voice. And so the Big Ten's got to sit around and go, okay, they hope that somebody comes into.
Well, the SEC, Mike Slive left, right? Mm-hmm. And then now you've had Delaney, and now you have Alvarez. And, is Larry Scott still in the Pac-12? I don't even know what influence he might have.
But that's weird. I felt like he was on his way. I don't know if there was ever official word on that or not. But, it seemed like, he was going to be squeezed out eventually. But I don't know if that ever became official. Moving on a little bit, a big transfer. Did y'all notice that Tyke Smith, who was really good last year at West Virginia, announced his transfer about a week ago, and he has decided on where he will head next. And this is just like, this is one of those that I don't really like the transfer portal because this guy's the best player on West Virginia's team. I don't know, really why he decided to leave, but he is going to be headed to play for the Georgia Bulldogs. So Tyke Smith, West Virginia's top star last year, transferring. He's going to be a member of UGA. And that's a tough loss from the Mountaineers. So that's a big-time player from last year.
I can't even keep up. I can't keep up. I can't. I'm going to have to go. Like, I'm going to have to go back to where they had, and they don't, but like the Street and Smith's basketball or football magazines and just soak it in for months.
Well, yeah, and yeah, that's kind of why I hope they bring the video game back. That's how I used to really learn rosters, because you'd go through the video game. If they bring the video game back, then it'll be easy to do that. If they do, when they do bring the video game back, is there a transfer portal in the video game now?
Yeah.
That's going to make recruiting all that much harder. It's ridiculous. But that just sucks. I mean, for West Virginia, it does.
Yeah, just played his sophomore season and transfer into a bigger school. So I've seen a couple of comments made about, well, if you're not a Georgia or you're not an Alabama or a USC, this is kind of like the even darker side to the transfer portal is. It's one thing if it's guys who are unhappy and they decide to leave or whatever, but just one of your best players. It's like Trey Sermon going to Ohio State last year. He had no real reason to leave Oklahoma, but I mean, this is even more bizarre because it's not like he's close to running out of eligibility. He's not close to playing. He was a sophomore last year.
What I like about the transfer portal is guys like Adam Flagler, who are clearly under-recruited and had to go play for Presbyterian, can get a shot to play at a level where they can compete at a higher level and get more notoriety. And I know that sucks for Presbyterian, but it doesn't, like what you're saying doesn't make sense to me. Like, and if you're unhappy where you are, you're unhappy where you are. But
somebody asked me a minute ago, Texas, at I can't think of his name. He's transferring. Another player's transferring. Chris Beard's taking over. He's clearing up spots.
Yeah.
He's clearing up salary cap.
Yep, basically.
I mean, in scholarship terms.
Yeah. He loves it every time a guy announces he's leaving because that means another open scholarship for him. Just curious on this. Astros have gotten off to a pretty nice start this season. Been playing the Angels, and yesterday an inflatable garbage can was thrown over the right field scoreboard, made its way onto the warning track. There was a lot of jeering, a lot of booing, a lot of just stuff from Angels fans. My question for you guys is this. I understand where it's coming from. But at what point do we just let the Astros play baseball again? How long does the...
To me,
it's look, I would say, you know what fans should do? Like, okay, let's give them a week to get booed since they didn't last year, so that all that pent-up stuff can get it out of your system, and then move on.
Well, maybe I say it's time, but they didn't really have to face too many fans.
True. That's why I say, just let's get it out of your system.
All-star break and move on.
Yeah. Get it out of your system.
Let's let the Astros go after the All-Star break.
Let it go. Let reporters don't. The good thing is that reporters don't have to ask them about it anymore, really, because they've gotten their answers. So guys like Carlos Correa can't step in that big pile of
All-Star break and move on.
Yeah, there were tons of chants. Astros suck. Cheaters. Where's your trash can? We're all there. Like I said, stuff being thrown over the outfield wall, 2 trash cans. One was an inflatable trash can. Dusty Baker said afterward, you can tell the amount of hostility and the amount of hatred in the stands. How many in the stands have never done anything wrong in their life? We paid the price for it. How many people have not cheated on a test or whatever at some point in time? I mean, it's easy if you live in glass houses.
Pay a price.
But I don't think anybody lives in glass houses.
They fired the manager.
Yeah.
That's the general manager got fired. None of the players are suspended. They still have a World Series. There was no price paid. That's why the fans are mad still. There was no price paid.
I think they're going to be I know it's 4-0 now, 4-1, whatever. They're going to be really good this year, too. Even though they've lost a little bit along the way.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you saw this, but Maceo Teague a couple of days ago, he had tweeted at the Cincinnati Reds organization because he's a Cincinnati guy. And he asked what it would take to be able to throw out the first pitch. And the Reds had not responded, but last night after he won that title, they did. And so I don't know, how long it'll take to get the details together, but rest assured, it does look like he will be throwing out the first pitch at the Cincinnati Reds game here in the near future.
Good.
So that's pretty cool.
He should. He's beloved in Cincinnati, that area, no question.
Yeah. That's look, and he's in Indy, I'm sure there are a ton of Cincinnati people loving it because Indy and Cincinnati, if you're from Indy, Cincinnati's usually your MLB team.
Yeah. So
that's the closest one.
So Maceo, the Cincinnati kid, will most likely be throwing out the first pitch here pretty soon. I had the stat last night and I couldn't find it, but it was the teams that have won men's, women's, and then football national titles, and I don't know where I put it. I might have accidentally deleted it, but I still do have the men's and women's national championship schools. Baylor now joins Stanford, North Carolina, UConn, and Maryland as schools that have won men's and women's national championships in basketball.
Wow, I thought there would be a couple more than that, but that's pretty fair. And Stanford, of course, won Sunday night. An ugly game, but they won.
Only 37 schools have won a men's title, and that number on the women's side is probably considerably less.
Yeah, I would think so. I would. Yeah, UConn, Baylor, and just like take another random program, and they've got like 20 of them, basically, it feels like. So, just cool that they are in some very exclusive company. Paul Pierce is no longer working for ESPN. I don't know if you guys saw this bizarre story.
Weird, yeah.
ESPN parts ways with the former Celtics great. They did so yesterday because on Friday night he had a wild Instagram live video that a lot of people saw. He was with exotic dancers. He was having some fun, smoking, drinking, playing poker with buddies, basically just threw COVID out the window, and that's really what a lot of people got up in arms for. But also he's a public personality, and he's on Instagram live partying, so he is out.
What got him fired was he posted some really mean stuff about Rachel Nichols.
Yep.
Like, strippers and poker and drinking, ESPN can suspend him for that, and they probably would have. Like, hey, look, buddy, you've kind of painted us into a corner here. We're going to take you off the air for a couple weeks, and then we'll put you back on. But you can't talk crap about your co-host
that was
and then be back on the air.
Yeah, so he followed it up with this party, and that was the last straw. Paul Pierce is gone from ESPN, so for those of you who watch that NBA coverage, you will notice that change. And finally, I wanted to mention, this is not completely off the radar, but I wanted to get your thoughts, and I know we'll get John McClain's. A 22nd woman has filed a civil lawsuit against Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson, alleging sexual misconduct. We are now up to 22 different allegations. And you know what I found really bizarre, and I don't remember if this was off the air conversation or if it was on the air conversation, but when his lawyer came out and he's like, well, we got like 12 women that said they had perfectly fine interactions with him. So 12 plus 22, who has 34 massage therapists? Who has 34 different massage therapists over any amount of time?
That's a great point. Like, why have the Texans, one, not provided him with a regular one, and two, if he's constantly
maybe they did,
doing
and he had
maybe
30 something else that he went to.
Then he goes to that, but to me that's a bit of an issue. It's a weird thing.
It's so weird. We still don't know the truth,
Yeah.
but it's like now there's so much here. Either this is the biggest blackmail railroad job of all time, or, man, Deshaun Watson is in deep trouble.
Yeah, and to add on to that, two of the women who have actually accused Deshaun Watson have come out and spoken publicly and given some of their thoughts. And one of the women said that, I know people say I'm just doing this for money, but I'm doing this to make sure that Deshaun Watson doesn't do this to anybody again. So there are some quotes out there from a couple of these ladies, and we'll talk to John about it, but my gosh, it is not. You think about when this first started to now. Who saw this coming?
I didn't believe
it's incredible.
It. At first, I was like, just something. No, it's crazy. It's great. Okay, we got to break.
We got to take a real quick call, though, because we got a guest coming up. All right, Jason in Fort Worth, real quick. Thanks for holding your thoughts.
Guys, I just want to say first off, huge congratulations to you on the first year and many more to come. It couldn't springboard you into a new year number two. With all that's going on right now, I can't tell you what it means as a Baylor alumni. I've tweeted you guys before, texted you before, but anyway, just a couple of quick takeaways from the game for me, things that maybe we haven't even really talked about. We heard a lot about Matt Meyer, and he was going to be the X factor. Well, not his biggest game, but the charge he took when the game was still a little bit on the line, followed by a little curl shot from the elbow, was a huge 4-point swing. Our bigs last night, which I thought was a little bit of a concern. Flo Bamba, are you freaking kidding me? The guy takes the ball with the game still a little bit in question from the top of the key, drives the hole, and basically puts Kisper on the bench by trying to throw down over the top of him. Like, where's this been our whole life? And then to cap it off with Mark Patterson making that rundown steal at the end of the game was just I was laughing at that point. What a time. National champions to wake up and the season ends on a win. We've got a parade coming. We've got now a spring football game. You and the culture, you kind of feel the culture building in the football side of things too right now. I think starting to turn around, and what a time to be a Baylor Bear. What a time to be a part of SicEm365. Proud member. You guys keep it up. Congratulations and best wishes in the future.
Man, we appreciate that call very, very much. We do. Yeah, Scott Drew said, he told us a year ago, I'm going to deliver you guys something on your anniversary, and he did. He did. Now, and it's unbelievable, and we appreciate a lot of you, and we have more texts to get to and calls. Jason, thanks for the time. It has been, No. It has been an unbelievable journey from that first day we were in the second floor of Paul's house, the mansion that we were in.
I do miss Woodrow, though.
I do miss Woodrow. When we come back, Matt Norlander, CBS Sports on Baylor, his story about Scott Drew and the championship. We'll give you some notes about the Masters, thanks to Bear Ridge and their coverage of our Masters sponsorship and coverage throughout the week on the Tee Times. And John McClain, this is SicEm365 Radio.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm, welcome home.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Scott Drew's dream comes true. Coach Drew and Baylor complete college basketball's greatest rebound and rebuild with a championship.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
So this morning when I was groggy, getting ready to go to the airport in Indianapolis, I see this story, Matt Norlander, and the top of it was it's 4:31 a.m. I was right there at 4:31 a.m. somewhere in Indianapolis. My column on Baylor, quotes, candid quotes, Scott Drew. It was about Baylor. It's about Scott Drew, about some of the stuff he had to deal with, some of the rumors and some of the jealousy and all of that happens in the coaching profession. Matt Norlander wrote that story, wrote a story about David Kay and Kevin Barrera and that great story, and then also how Scott Drew and Jared Butler first met. Matt, thank you very much for your time. You know, I know we have to, we're a station that covers Baylor, obviously. It was great to see them win. But is Scott Drew like flip the script, the script, excuse me, on a lot of people who didn't believe him or did not like him?
Great to be with you guys. Hope I'm coming in nice and clear. I'm actually driving back to Connecticut from Indianapolis, so I'm in the car right now on Bluetooth, so I hope you can hear me okay. Yeah, I think that to a certain extent he has, and that was part of why I wrote what I wrote after their win last night, because actually I'd spoken with Scott a couple of times about this stuff. Did you get him on, by the way? Am I on the same exact show as Scott Drew?
Yeah, we got him on, yeah.
Yeah, we did. Mm-hmm.
I am not worthy, so, but it does not surprise me that he found the time, man. That's Scott for you, for sure. But yeah, no, I had talked with them. I went down to Waco for the huge Kansas game last season, you know, number one in the country and all that good stuff. And we had talked about some of that stuff. And to be honest, I held some of those quotes with the idea I would write about it if Baylor was a 1 seed and made a Final Four in 2020, but it never happened. And so between that and then a follow-up conversation later on last year, just kind of touched on some of those things because, you know, it's not something that's, you know, comfortable to talk about, but it's undeniable. I mean, the column I wrote also, I tried to express who he was and what he's done, and also the perception of Scott Drew that certainly existed a decade ago. And I think, you know, I started at CBS in 2010, and so in particular in the years like 2011, 2012, 2013, when I would go in the summer to watch recruits, network with coaches, and I really started to get exposed to a lot of just, you know, the casual conversations that can happen between coaches that are, you know, off the record, if you will. Scott was certainly talked about in negative terms with some coaches. This wasn't a thing where it was like him against the world. That's not the case. But there were some that just didn't like how he did things, and they assumed the worst of him and of Baylor. They thought that he was too happy, he was too phony, and I think that over the past 5 years, after getting through an NCAA investigation that lasted, 3 years, and continuing to stay at Baylor and steadfastly doing it his way and with an optimistic attitude, he has changed the minds and hearts of some, and winning a national championship will change the minds and hearts of even more. But there were big-name coaches like Bobby Knight, Rick Pitino, Rick Barnes, who publicly criticized or critiqued Scott, all those years ago. And it certainly is something to see how far he's come. The one thing I didn't make a point in the story that I thought about as I've been driving here is, you played that call by Jim Nance, and certainly, the rebuild and all that. I think it's more than a rebuild. It was a true invention. But that could run parallel to Scott Drew from, the outside looking in as much as the program in terms of a rebuild there. He never really changed all that much, but the people's perception of him, I think inside and outside college basketball, certainly did, and that's not an easy thing to shed, but he did it, and he overcame, a lot of dismissive attitudes about how good of a coach he possibly could be because he didn't play college basketball, son of Homer Drew, and there was certainly plenty of skeptics, but he really has done it his way, and it's been impressive to see.
Matt, those people all kind of have come, a lot of them have come around. I'm sure he's still got his detractors because there are cynics in the world, and some people can never, kind of let go of things. But when you look at, people who are legitimately phony, there'll be cracks. Like, there'll be times when people are like, yeah, he seems nice, but man, behind closed doors, he just loses his temper and all that. There's never any of that with Scott Drew. He's literally that way all the time, and no one ever says, like, man, I saw Coach Drew just lose it on somebody. Just doesn't happen.
It doesn't, and, I kind of was able to get a cool memory for myself last night when I was interviewing his father and his brother in the stand, but Homer had to stop me because one shining moment started, and he was like, hold on, we got to watch this. And yeah, no, we did have to watch it. But in the midst of that, like before and after that, I talked to both of them about, everything that Scott had gone through and some of the arrows he had taken. And did he ever hit like a low moment? Did he ever confide in you over some of his frustrations? And Bryce was like, no, like I know some of this was tough on him, but that's just not him. And then I talked to Janet as well, his mother, and she was really heartfelt, and really, close to emotional, if not outright emotional about how much this night meant because, Scott he's a man of faith, relentless optimism, and he is different. You could say the phrase, he's different than any other coach in college basketball, probably of about 15 guys for 15 different reasons. But there's no one in college basketball who is as cheery and gives as much of the benefit of the doubt and is as appreciative and seems to find time. I don't know how this guy finds the time. I just don't. He finds time for everyone. Like, it's a small thing, and I'm not saying this to to appease the collective media ego, if you will. But the guy wins a national championship for the first time in school history, gets his first. He's reached the mountaintop, and it was not 5 minutes. It might not have even been 3 minutes from that game going final last night for Scott to saunter over to the media tables on the base behind the baseline where the Baylor bench was, and just say, "Hey guys, thank you. We appreciate your coverage. Thank you so much for this." And it wasn't like he approached it and did like a quick wave and addressed everyone. He started at one side and walked the 30 feet to make sure he made eye contact and thanked everyone. He didn't need to do that. And that gesture alone doesn't make him Texas's greatest man or anything like that. But it's just simple things like that are uncommon and really speak to who he is and his character. And I think it's because of how he is built that Baylor was able to win a championship like this. Like, certainly who you recruit, the players in your program, the staff you have around you for so many years, those are significant factors as well. But I think at the basis of all of this is that Scott Drew is never going to let someone bring him down and tell him what he can't do. And through pure, unadulterated enthusiasm, he will accomplish great things, and that materialized Monday night.
Matt, as far as the game itself, just how surprised, if at all, were you with the dominance that they displayed? I mean, that they never lost the lead. Gonzaga was double-digit down pretty much the entire time, other than a couple runs, and even then they still never even got all that close. I mean, if not for a couple losses, I feel like we'd be talking even more about this Baylor men's team and their all-time status, but they did have those two losses. Just, was that a surprise, a shock to you like it was for so many?
Oh, of course it was. On both our CBS Eye on College Basketball podcast and on TV for CBS Sports HQ, leading into that game on Monday, I made a point to point out, hey, listen, no one's really talking about Baylor beating Gonzaga by like 10 points. The one side where we're not seeing really any discussion about that being a possibility. I just want to put it out there that it is possible Baylor wins this game by like 10 to 12 points. I'm not saying it's likely, maybe a 10%, but we're talking about a Bears team getting a definitive win over Gonzaga. But nobody anywhere, nobody on SicEm365 Radio, nobody in the Drew family, no one had Baylor winning wire to wire, dominant, holding a 12 to 17, 18 point advantage for the entire game. And rightfully so, because Gonzaga was undefeated, had rolled every major conference opponent it had. So yes, of course, I was surprised at how Baylor was able to get out to that quick lead again, just like it did against Houston. And Gonzaga, which looked like it was stripped of its powers. It really did. And credit to Baylor for that, but it looked like a shell of the team that we saw up until the Final Four. And I don't know if some of it was lag and hangover from the UCLA game. If Gonzaga beats UCLA by 18 points, it's totally possible Baylor still wins 86-70 no matter what. We'll never know either way, but it was extremely impressive, and I just couldn't help it. This is the anecdote I led my column with. The team introductions happened, and I just couldn't help but notice, like Davion Mitchell, this is just an uncommon thing. And I don't know if anyone's asked him about it or anything, if he would even remember it, but I watched him and I documented it just in case he had a huge game. Like after Baylor had its player introductions, everyone else was kind of like milling around, looking up at the scoreboard, clapping, kind of walking in place. Davion Mitchell was still as a statue, legs spread apart, arms folded over, staring dead ahead at Gonzaga for the entirety of their player introductions, as if to say, I'm going to get you. Game's starting in 2 minutes here. You don't even know what's coming. And sure enough, he scored the game's first basket, got the first board, and MOP. But Mitchell, inducing Suggs into some foul trouble. What a tournament for him and Butler and that entire team. And that was something to witness in person. There might not be more than 3 or 4 tournament performances in a championship game in the past 20 years that were more impressive than what Baylor did on Monday night.
Yeah, he was kind of like circling the lake or the river, looking for what fish he was going to kill at one point. Which was he going to? And now, Matt, I want to say this to you in case some have not read it. You obviously had the story this morning about Scott and how he overcame some of what was said, and yeah, it did bother him, but. You also did the story about how he met Jared Butler, and there's also the one about David Kay and Kevin Barrera. We had those two on a few weeks after the surgery of the kidney transplant. Great stuff behind the scenes from what you also brought to the table. We appreciate you for that.
Well, thank you so much. Like David Kay, he is elite, man. The sports information guy. I know your audience is familiar with him in that story, particularly because he and Kevin joined your show, but I appreciate you bringing it up. And I called David about 3 weeks ago, or 4 weeks ago even. I was like, listen, if you make the Final Four, I'm doing the story. And it was like half asking, half joking, not asking. And, he wasn't seeking that publicity. He didn't do this for any attention. That's not him at all. But he was willing to tell the story because there are people out there that are in a position right now to help others as well. And it's not just that he did a great thing, he's a great guy. Everyone in and around the Baylor program, from administration to people that cover the team, they know that David Kay is the best of the best. He is on the short list of the best people at his profession. And I was more than happy to put his story and Kevin's story out there. So I appreciate you bringing it up, but it's all him, man.
No question.
That's David, and he deserves it.
Thank you very much, Matt. We appreciate your time. Great stuff covering the college basketball, Baylor as well. And you're right, Scott Drew hit the next morning. He's been through the celebration. They land, and yet he calls in earlier today to start our show, which is just who he is. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Good luck. Get a little rest if you possibly can.
I'm on. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a nice night.
That's CBS Sports' Matt Norlander. It's a story about, I didn't know this until I started reading this earlier. Court report, a photo foretold the future as Scott Drew and Jared Butler met long before reuniting at Baylor. He's an 11-year-old at a camp. Look at that picture.
Wow.
Kind of a chubby-cheeked, got a little baby fat still on him, and Jared Butler. And then later on, his dad saved the picture, put it in a computer, saved the image, and then a few years later, here comes Scott Drew recruiting this kid from Riverside Academy. And he had grown 8 inches. And, of course, ends up being the player of the tournament.
Well, it goes to show you how you treat people.
There you go.
You never know who's going to turn into who. He could have Scott Drew would never, but, someone else could have potentially just been like, oh, whatever, kid, not realizing in 8 years he's going to be the best point guard in the entire country and lead you to a national title. So, that stuff does matter.
Look, you're recruiting when you're not recruiting.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to always have that, because you don't know, like, especially if you're at a basketball camp with an 8-year-old kid, you don't know that memory is not going to make that kid put you on top of his list.
Yeah.
You could have the best time in his whole life at that camp, and because of that one little thing that happened when he was 8 or 9 years old, he's going to pick you over another school.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I have a couple of things I wanted to make mention of here. Just incredible that they were able to pull this off. But how about the fact that all these guys came back? Yeah. Like, they didn't have to come back. Yep. Jared Butler could have gone off to the NBA. Macy O.T. could have left. Davion Mitchell could have left. I mean, it was, the Wild West after the cancellation last year, and then all these new rules and stuff. But, there's even a text, and some of it's blocked out or blacked out or whatever, but there's portions of text from a year ago when the guys were discussing coming back that, a few people have put out there just to kind of show the chatter that was happening, and, hey, let's run it back, let's go win a title. And they did it. Like, they didn't just say, let's come. Like, how many guys come back for their senior year, and you're like, oh, he's going to come back for one more run. And then it's like, just whatever. It doesn't really amount to anything.
Doesn't always materialize.
No, more often than not, it doesn't. And these guys said, hey, we're coming back to win a title, and they actually went and did it. And it's unbelievable. And, the best thing I think for Baylor basketball fans, not only do you have a good recruiting class set up right now, and obviously a national title, I mean, that's Scott Drew walks into schools now. That's completely different the way that he's viewed. He's now won a national title. But, the ramifications are going to be just, felt all over.
Yeah, he doesn't have to sell them on we're close anymore.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to. There's still a vision. There's still another vision. Now it's like, let's stay this way. It's easier to get, it's not. It has not been easy to get to where they are, but it's even more difficult to stay there.
And the great thing is that, they'll have a parade, I'm sure, of some sort and a couple of other things to come with the celebration, but we're not anywhere close to done with guys on this team because there's, a few weeks until the NBA draft, and there's going to be probably 2 Baylor first-rounders in this NBA draft.
And we did get a question on the text line earlier. Who do you think comes back?
Nobody.
None of the 4. If it magically happened, but that's not a bad thing.
Why did Jared Butler leave Alabama? Do you guys know?
He was behind a guy who was very good. I know that.
But there's something to do. What has Baylor basketball experienced health-wise that maybe no other program has dealt with King McClure, Isaiah Austin, among others. And I think there's a little bit of something that is a concern with Jared, and that's going to be something to monitor. Now, why would he come back? I wouldn't. No. What else? I mean, he could go and score 30 a game next year and lose in the Sweet 16, and it's kind of like – I don't know what his future is in the NBA. I hope to God it's going to be okay, but he'll play somewhere professionally, I think, next year.
When he comes back to Baylor, it's going to be like a law school or business school or something.
Yeah. His jersey retired, which they need to change that, like Armstrong said.
For his next step in life.
Jared Butler doesn't need to come back to Baylor to prove anything else, nor does, Teague, Mitchell, whoever. I mean, the guys who have a chance, and I do realize that there could be, a medical concern or whatever potentially, but Davion Mitchell's a lottery pick. I mean, we're covering a lottery pick for the next 2 months.
Vital's been here 5 years. He's ready to go.
Depending on what happens, Vital already confirmed double time that he's gone, which nobody should have thought otherwise. So, I mean, I don't know what he's sort of viewed as, but – yeah, we're going to have fun covering the NBA draft because, that's another thing Scott Drew's just sort of slowly but surely done. I mean, there were a few guys here and there that got into the NBA, but now they're starting to actually put numbers into the NBA, and they're starting to put guys who have roles in the NBA. And, I think it's going to be great to watch, how these guys get measured and go through the combine and all that stuff. But we got plenty more Baylor basketball with this version of the team to talk about for at least a couple more months.
What I also like about it is that you had Jeremy Warner, who's an Olympic gold medalist, and what he loves about Scott Drew, RG3, a Heisman Trophy winner, and what he loves about Coach Drew in the basketball program. By the way, Lovie Smith will join us on Thursday, it appears. So
long time coming.
Texans defensive coordinator. We gotta get to a break, a Masters update, and then also John McClain.
Yeah.
All right.
I was just gonna say, look, if you're worried about what's coming back, Matthew Meyer will be back, Adam Flagler will be back, Flo Thamba, who had a great game, will be back. LJ Cryer's up and coming. Jordan Turner, all those guys that they feel good about. Plus Kenny Brown, Dane Danger.
They got the recruiting class going.
Whoever might transfer.
Yeah.
But not just some random guy because he wants to score 25 a game. Somebody who fits who they are. And this class with Kendall Brown, Jeremy Sohan, and Langston Love, all of them are elite. Fran Fraschilla just oozes about what he thinks of what Jeremy Sohan might be able to bring, who's in Europe right now.
Well, we got to go, but the best part about it is that typically you'd be talking about what these guys could do or how close they are. They've already done it. They won a national title. Like, there's no, the weight is off the shoulders. You know what I mean? Like, there's no weight on the shoulders. There will be when they get back to normal, and there will be the weight of being the defending champions. But, man, I would much rather have that weight than be a school that hadn't won a title.
Yep, enjoy it while you can. You never know when you're back. And for Baylor, it took 71 years, if you think about it, and they win the national championship. When we come back, a note from the Masters. A couple of tee times have been released. We'll make up a break during that time. Then John McClain, he wants to talk about his famous Sic'em. This is SicEm365 Radio.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new Lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved. and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Well, John McClain, about as avid of any Baylor fan that I know, that I've ever known. Houston Chronicle Hall of Fame writer joins us on SicEm365 Radio. John, your thoughts about something that perhaps you never thought you'd ever see happen.
Never thought I'd see it happen. I've been going to Baylor basketball games since I was a Cub Scout. When I was 8 years old, so they took us to see football team and a basketball team, and I've been going to Baylor games ever since, but never in your wildest imagination did you think the men were going to win a national championship. And the way they did it, by just destroying Gonzaga, they've gotten so much great attention and respect, well-deserved. You know, Scott Drew, when he came, I thought, well, who is this kid who hadn't reached puberty? He'll last a couple of years, and then he'll be gone, and they'll fold the program. And as they said last night, he has overseen the greatest comeback in college basketball history, maybe in college history, and I can't think of anybody more deserving than Scott, all his assistant coaches, and of course the players. And as a proud of Baylor alum, I could not be more proud of them today. I've done 6 talk shows and podcasts, and every one of them has led off with a Baylor fight song, except you guys.
Well, we'll get on that, John. We've had lots of Baylor love, and you bring up a good point. I mean, just the fashion in which they did it. I mean, how surprised were you by that?
I thought if they won, it would be a close game. I didn't think they could control Drew Timme in the middle. He had 22 points in the paint against UCLA. You know, people talked about his 65% shooting percentage. You know, Craig, you could shoot 60% if all your shots were in the paint. But the way it wasn't surprising to any of us that have watched Baylor, the relentless defense all over the court from every player, and not just how hard they played, but how smart they played, and to shoot better on threes than they did in the regular season when they led the country was terrific. And it's something that surprised me. You know, the only reason Gonzaga was in 10 at the half was because they had so many more free throws than Baylor. And then Baylor shot free throws better than they usually do. So they did everything right at the most important time. I worried that they played their best game against University of Houston, and they might not be able to get that back. But it was obvious from the start, the way they just jumped on Gonzaga. And we always say a team needs to keep the foot on the throat. Don't let a lot of that is coaching as well as playing, and that's what they did. They just stomped them into oblivion. And I'm already fired up about next season.
Well, then, John, are you making calls to your big Houston Baylor alum buddies to get that field house going?
Paul, I don't think any of us will have to make any calls to anybody because that money is just going to roll in. People ask me, well, what is the offshoot of Baylor's success, better recruiting. I said Scott Drew's already had the best recruiting class he's ever had, and now I'm sure players in the transfer portal, especially guards, will be reaching out to Scott to try he has with transfers. But the big thing, of course, when you win, the alums, they start shelling out the money. And whatever Baylor wants, this is a chance to get it because, it'll never be better than this. They could win 3 or 4 in a row and nothing is like the first one. And I'm pretty sure that that building is going to be started soon. And one of the things somebody needs to do, like Jimmy Turner, is put a walking bridge over LaSalle with his name on it so students can walk across LaSalle on that bridge. I think that would be tremendous. I can't wait till that building is built. And the Baylor facilities, every time I come home, I'm just blown away. My buddy Lester Zed and I, we just ride around the campus and see how everything was compared to when we went there in the early 70s, and it just makes you so proud. And when I see former Baylor football players, and I ask them how long it's been since they've been back on campus, if they say, I hadn't been back 10 or 15 years, I say, well, if you go, you better put your GPS on because you won't know how to get around because they've made so many incredible changes on the campus and more are to come. And that building, I can't wait to see it. I know it's going to be smaller and more intimate. I go back to Rena Mars McLean and then the Hot Box, the Heart of Texas Coliseum, then the tornado tore the roof off, back down to Rena Mars, then back to the Coliseum. And when the Farrell Center opened, it was just unbelievable. So I can't wait to see this new one. Maybe Drake McLean will pony up another $100 million.
Well, I said this, and I've said this before, when Terrence Williams caught the pass against Oklahoma from RG3 that beat them, that built McLean Stadium. So if that happened, then you know that winning a national championship in men's basketball will be enough where people start to loosen up the wallet. Even though a lot of people have given a lot, this is something to be very proud of. Of everything you've now seen in the last just 11 years, Heisman Trophy winner, 2 Big 12 championships, and 2 national titles in women's basketball, which you had seen before, and a men's basketball championship. Which of them did you think in order would never happen in your lifetime?
Well, I thought, number one, when the women won that first championship, and, they're a threat every year under Kim Mulkey to win a championship, and we kind of got spoiled. And then when I saw what Scott Drew got into, I was just worried that I was just hoping the program would continue. And football, you always hope football, but winning an NCAA championship, and you saw that graphic where west of the Mississippi over the last, I can't remember, 20 years, it's just been Kansas and now Baylor to be the second school in Texas to ever win one, second Baylor men's program to win a national championship. Can't beat it. And I'll tell you something, I don't know if you guys have brought this up, but I feel very strongly about this, and I'll guarantee you there's a lot of others. When they build that new building, they got to have a big old statue of Scott Drew out there in front of it so everybody can see the architect of that national championship, and I would put Kim Mulkey right next to him.
That'd be pretty cool to see. Now, one of the things Scott Drew mentioned last night, John, was that John Lee Hancock promised that he would do a movie if they won a national title. You're a big movie guy. Who plays Scott Drew in a movie?
Well, first of all, John Lee Hancock from Texas City, Baylor grad, has a law degree, went to L.A. to try to seal a script. Now he's one of the most successful directors and screenwriters in Hollywood. What you're going to have to do is go find some kid who's probably about 20 years old and looks younger to play Scott when he got hired. And then maybe you put a little beard on him, put a little makeup on him to make it a little bit older, because every time I see Drew on TV, I'm amazed. If you don't see him next to the first news conferences they showed last night, you think he hasn't aged at all. He ought to start doing some skincare products about how you keep your skin looking so good. But Brad Pitt's a little old. Yeah, I think Brad Pitt should play me, and I'll cover a game in the movie, because I've had a lot of people tell me I remind them of Brad Pitt. So that one was, to me, that's a no-brainer for John Lee.
Oh, my God.
I don't even know if I want to ask a non-Baylor question because I don't really want to ruin anything.
Yeah, you just,
frankly.
Yeah, no, it's
I mean, we could, John, anything with Deshaun Watson, I guess? I mean, I don't really want to bring the mood down, but I feel like we kind of have to ask you.
Well, just today, the first woman who filed a lawsuit came public and had a news conference, and then another woman let her name be used, and they read a statement, and Watson's attorney, Rusty Harden, released emails from Tony Busby asking for $100,000 from the first woman. So it's one salvo back and forth. And the truth is, nobody knows who's telling the truth. And I don't think we ever will know unless somebody has got some kind of tape or recording. And so far they have not. It's going to be a long time before this thing is worked out.
Yeah, it seems like it's just getting dirty and dirtier and muddier and deeper, and I have no idea what to believe, but you have to listen to it all.
All right, one more NFL question. What did you think of the Sam Darnold trade?
I thought that a lot of teams, 6 of them, including the 49ers, who traded up to the 3rd spot to get a quarterback, and including the Panthers and Matt Rule, who had the 8th pick, they were 2 of the 6 that were pursuing Watson. And then all the lawsuits came up, and they put that pursuit on hold. And now it's obvious the 49ers and Panthers realize they're not going to be trading for Watson. I don't think anybody will be trading for Watson until this is settled, and it could be a year or more.
Thank you, John. Appreciate your time. Go ahead, Andy.
Thank you, guys. Sic'em Bears.
There you go. I think John. I think he was out of breath at the last one. The Sic'em Bears. He has been as loyal, and he will get, oh, my Lord, his timeline when they start playing poorly, kind of like the Texans.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to ask him, but I know that, just last I heard, I know that Dave Campbell's kind of struggling, at this age, but, how amazing. I'm just thinking of all the people who have been around covering it for years and years and years. I've been around less than a decade. I didn't sit through the lean years, I was very well aware of them, and I've learned enough and heard enough and all of that since I've been here for many years now to have a great idea. But man, I think of the Butch Henrys and just everybody. Paul was around here for that.
Frank Fallon.
Yeah, Frank Fallon.
Oh, yeah.
Judd, I know that works at another place, but, last night what it meant, and we've had Pat Nunley on a dozen times this year, it seems like, but John doing the game, the call of the game, he's had all the moments we've talked about before, but this is a national title. And it's something that he went through some lean years doing their games too, as you know.
And I think about it, when I first started doing the morning show with Steve Fallon, Frank's son, when I first started the morning show with him, one of our first interviews with Scott Drew was right after they had played their first game after getting no non-conference that year. Like they'd had like 120 practices against each other, and they couldn't play scrimmages, they couldn't do anything. They just ended up playing against each other for a month. And I remember asking him, I said, Coach, what's it like to see a different jersey after a game they lost by like 28 points? And he's like, it was great.
Yeah.
And I was like,
fantastic.
Yeah. I remember thinking, that was my first thought, was like, this guy can't be for real, but he was. And
he's definitely for real now. He's as for real as it gets in college basketball. He's, like I said, he's carving out a Hall of Fame resume, and I think winning that last night, he's a Hall of Famer in the future, so long as he continues to do the things that he's always done. The program is so well set up now, and, for the longest time, it's like, can't win the Big 12, or can't find a non-JUCO point guard, or can't put guys in the NBA, or can't, there's so many can'ts. We could go over like 100 different can'ts, and they can, and they did it all. And they're going to continue to do it all, including putting guys in the pros, like I mentioned earlier. We're going to be talking a lot about Davion Mitchell and others for the next, 4 weeks or so leading into the draft. So, and we'll be talking about this championship for years to come. I know everybody who watched that last night and who had a rooting interest, it was special. It really was. Could not have written it any better. And the fact that they were so dominant might have made for somewhat of a boring game at times, but I didn't feel that way. I felt it was way more enjoyable than having to, chew on fingernails until the bitter end.
We have time to chew on it a little bit. Paul, we have another break to get to.
We just
one
do
of the
one
things
more,
I still want to say that of everything what Jared Butler did or what Davion Mitchell did or whatever, I cannot explain from being where I am, the angle of where I was, is how Flo Thamba, Jonathan Tchamwa-Tchatchoua, and Mark Vidal made Mark Timme want to give up basketball for a while. I'm telling you right now, Drew Timme, and among others. But it was like they had 15 guys on him, and he was frustrated. He even got protected a little bit, I thought, at times. But those two, especially Jonathan Tchamwa-Tchatchoua and Flo Thamba, those are things you don't expect to have. They were elite at times is what they did last night.
Yeah, they frustrated the mess out of him. And, for anybody going into this game, your questions were, can Baylor hit their threes? And can Baylor, contend with Timme? And can they bang down low? They set the tone from the start of the you could not have written a better game. Every single player on that team filled their role and then some. And, just from the way it started with the hot shooting and just the nasty defense, just all the way through, it was a picture-perfect game plan. It was picture-perfect execution. You could not have done any better than they did last night. How could you possibly have done any better than what they did last night? It was a beautiful thing to watch for sure. And you're right. Those guys will probably not get the attention of the Jared Butlers or, the way the offense was playing, that there's going to be a lot of attention there. But there were a lot of people that took note of that defense. I think there were a lot of smiling basketball coaches last night watching that as well. And, they were a huge factor in that game, no doubt.
Flo Thamba's block on Corey Kispert, where nobody's ever going to tell you that Flo Thamba's fast.
Right.
But where he just hit another gear and went and got it. That was the kind of game they were having last night. And Jonathan Tchamwa-Tchatchoua last night played his best game of the entire season. Well, maybe Houston might have been a little bit better because he scored more points, but golly, he really, these last 3 games, has started to come into his own, and he's coming back. And he's going to be a problem for people.
He can work on his offensive moves and skill set,
think about how good Freddie Gillespie got in a year on offense when Freddie was really bad at, putting the ball back in the basket from a foot away. And then a year of working on it tirelessly like those players do on that program, and then he became a guy who was going to get you 12 points because he's going to get that putback. That's what Jonathan Tchamwa-Tchatchoua was going to do.
Yeah. They have a lot of people coming back, and a lot of people don't even know they're still there that have been waiting in the wings. We've mentioned them all. It's going to be fun to see how Scott Drew and his staff, and who knows, maybe the staff is something that has to be changed a little bit because of how popular and how many people just love what Jerome Tang has done and meant to the program. Whether or not the right opportunity comes along or not, who knows? The other ones that we've had on the show, they're all it's their time. Take advantage of it if, in fact, that time comes, if it's the right one.
Well, and there's 2 things that occur when coaches are potentially leaving off your staff or players are going to leave early. Is either there's a problem within the program, guys are just ready to get out, or you're highly successful and there's great new opportunities that are arising as a result of that. And that's what Baylor has right now. So if the band's never back together the way that – it'll never be back together again except for like a 10-year reunion the way that it was last night because, there's going to be changes. But, for everybody to come back that did to make last night happen, just amazing. And I know that they'll cherish that for the rest of their lives. And what a cool team to root for too. Just what a cool group of guys and coaches to be able to root for and be proud of for all the Baylor fans out there. So, yeah. Pretty special.
All right. There's one story. I have to tell this story. I saw her. She and her son were at the tournament up in Indianapolis. Patty Castilleja. She follows, I think, all of us on Twitter. So I bumped into her. She goes, I pulled a Smoky to get to the airport. I just have her name down on this one sheet. She pulled a Smoky on the way to either DFW or Love Field to get to the airport on time. You know what she did?
She was on Twitter the entire drive?
No.
She weaved in out of trucks?
She got
in road rage with someone she'll never see
while
before?
Switching lanes?
Okay, you're close. It's getting home. Marco, she went underneath an area that was
on
under
the median.
construction.
She went on the median?
She backed up on the lane that's not a lane. She was past the exit.
She passed on the shoulder?
No.
She passed
the
reversed.
exit. She got stuck. She went and got into the lane that's not a lane and backed up her car a couple of 200 or 300 yards and then took the exit to make it to the airport on time to make the flight to get to Indianapolis.
You would should distress everyone.
That's awesome.
Everyone in America that's watching us right now is that nothing that Craig and I said that he's done is made up.
No.
Not one of the things we've said. We've been in the car when he's done it. It's not made up. It's not, I didn't be like, he ran over a unicorn. No, that's not, we didn't make that up. All this stuff.
Unicorns aren't real. Okay, now, real quickly, the tee times released for the Masters in Paul's 5 at 5:55. Tee times for the opening round, 85th Masters. Of course, they played it back in November last year. Dustin Johnson will play with Lee Westwood and Tyler Strafacci, who is the U.S. Amateur Champion. Tuesday, he'll 10:30 Eastern on Thursday. Rory McIlroy, let's see, trying to win that career Grand Slam. Will tee off a little soon after that. With John Rahm and four-time PGA Tour winner Xander Schauffele. Justin Thomas with Louis Oosthuizen and Tony Finau will tee off early afternoon. And then Jordan Spieth, who won over the weekend, and Armstrong, I know you were thrilled about that. He closed it out in San Antonio. Will go on with Colin Morikawa and also Cameron Smith. They're in a group at 2 o'clock Eastern on Thursday. And then finally, Bryson DeChambeau, Adam Scott, who's won the Masters before, and also Max Homa will tee off at 1:36 Eastern. So those are some of the key some of the key tee times. Nicholas, Gary Player, and Lee Elder will have the traditional ceremonial tee shots because Arnold Palmer, of course, has been gone for a little bit. All right?
I know that Paul is friends with Waco's mayor. We had him in here just a couple of months ago. Yes, a couple of months ago. And I'm sure we'll have him again at some point. I saw a couple people mention this in regards to the university, but I really do think that there could be a National Champions Day every April 5th in Waco, Texas, given that we talked about it yesterday. The women won their first title on April the 5th. The men win their first title years and years later on April the 5th. So National Champions Day in Waco every April 5th. It's also putting that out there.
It's also Derek Smith's birthday, so...
National Champions Day. National Champions Day in April 5th. Yeah.
Derek Smith's birthday is the holiday. And, by the way, they won a couple of national championships on the 5th. When we come back, Paul's 5 at 5:55.
Actually, we're going to do Paul's 5 at 5:55 right now because it's 5:54.
It's 5:52.
54.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
All right. Top 5 under-the-radar keys to Baylor's win. And these are things that, we've probably talked about a little bit, but I just wanted to bring to light as we kind of wrap up the show. And this is something we asked Scott Drew about number 5. No injuries all year. I wanted to bring this up like 2 weeks ago, but superstition stopped me from doing it.
Well, especially with Baylor.
Because I thought as soon as I'd been like, hey, they've had no injuries all year, Davion Mitchell would have pulled his hamstring.
Yeah.
But no injuries all year. And, the only players that missed time missed it because of COVID. So that is a stroke of luck that you cannot – I know a lot went into it, good training, being in good shape and all that stuff. But even still, that's a lot of good luck. There were times where guys took big, hard spills during games. You think, that'll keep him out for the next game.
Hey, I
and then
thought
he's
Adam
back.
Flagler went down against Houston on a runner. He made it, and he came down on somebody's ankle, and then he went down yesterday in a game, and it looked like maybe he re-aggravated it. But no, you're right. They were very fortunate.
Yeah, that's the one wild card that you can't plan really for at all. You can train as best as you can. Charlie Melton and company have done a great job for years and years, but, kind of staying in that same line of things. Yes, they were, incredibly fortunate that was the case, but they just looked better than Gonzaga. They just looked the part. And then when they got onto the court, they were the part. They were clearly the stronger, faster, more physical team. It wasn't even a question about it.
Yeah. All right, number 4, the chemistry of this team. Everything mixed well. Yeah. It just mixed well. No matter what they did or what lineups they had to do, foul trouble for Jared Butler in a game, they could make it without him. And Scott Drew's had a lot of
when they won the game in overtime against West Virginia on the road to win the conference, and he was fouled out. To me, that was a massive moment.
Yeah, and he's had some really good teams though. That if somebody got in foul trouble or got hurt, they weren't going to win in those moments. They just weren't going to. No. And this team found a way, and he might have cracked the code on how to navigate that now. Number 3, the uncanny knack for protecting a lead. They did not give up many leads all year, and especially when they had a big one. Now, they would let chunks get bitten into them, and that's what we talked about, the little cat and mouse game they played a lot of the year, but they would, they'd get an 18-point lead or get whittled down to 6 or 4. It gets into 2 possessions, and it was like, hey, guys, and during the timeout, they might have walked over and go, hey, guys, we hope you've had your fun because this is about to get real bad for you right now.
Yeah, they'd kind of get them in the spider web and then get them.
Yeah, exactly. And number 2.
I guess Oklahoma State was the only game they blew the lead because they gave up 31 points in the last 6 to 8 minutes because Kansas, they really trailed most of that game. Yeah.
And number 2, the bench morphing their roles as needed. Sometimes, you're off the bench and you have to do this one thing, but whether it's Matthew Meyer, Adam Flagler, or Everyday John or whoever it was, whatever their role, they were able to morph it. They were able to say, okay, for this game, I need to do a little bit more of this or that. And that for bench players is hard to do. Most of the time it's like, okay, well, we're going to put this guy in. He can shoot. He can't really play defense now, but he can shoot. Or he can't shoot, but we need the defense. Or they didn't really have to worry about that.
Well, Gonzaga had a great starting 5. Mm-hmm. And after that, they could not match up with Baylor whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Baylor was a deeper team. You need to have depth to win titles and win titles in the fashion that they did. And, you look at a Matthew Meyer. I mean, that guy's going to be in the NBA one day. He's going to be a surefire starter next year. And he's a national champion, not because he started an average 30 a game. He's a national champion because he came off the bench and was the best 6th man in the country. You know what I mean? And there's a 7th man and an 8th man that they could point to. Yeah, their depth was ridiculous, and their bench was absolutely massive. There was no letdown for them at any point, really, Like
Matthew Meyer last night was not very good offensively. He looked kind of lost in the moment, but he took a charge. He got a bucket on a turnaround jumper at a key moment.
He had that big
when
cut,
they just needed him for a little bit.
The big cut to the free throw line, and they found him when, who was it that was getting trapped? I think it might have been Teague maybe, and they found him at the free throw line, hit a bucket that, and it's just, they had an answer for everything. And so even if he wasn't typical, 100% Matthew Mayer on offense, he did what he had to do. They all did.
Yeah. And number 1, I got to say, I think it's the conference, the Big 12. I think last night you saw Gonzaga got kind of punched in the mouth against UCLA for the first time in weeks and weeks. And I think it did affect them. I think it did. And Baylor, even in spite of the fact that when they won all their games in the Big 12, they won by 8 points or more, except for the 2 that they lost. But every other game they won by 8 points or more, and they just knew how to respond better. And so they didn't have to respond because they blew Houston out. But Gonzaga just somewhere in their mind, they were lost.
I think, the shot pushed them and people thought it was going to catapult them to maybe just beating Baylor up or whatever. But I think that they felt like, all right, well, it's ours now. Hey, we won this. We're the team of destiny and all this. And Baylor's just sitting back you guys have no idea. There was a player from West Virginia last night that got on. He, a couple of days ago, he said, Baylor's going to sweep the floor of those guys. Everybody was like, what?
Because they played both of them.
Yeah, he played both of them. And so he came out last night, and I could find it if I need to, but he came out last night. He's like, told y'all, I played both these teams, and Baylor's just dogs. Those are some dogs right there.
Yeah, they are, man. They played, I said this, with controlled anger in a complimentary way. Good stuff, Paul. Craig with Off the Radar earlier. All right, let's go down the list of Jack McKenzie with the graphics. We appreciate it. It's great to be back home. Armstrong Sims, appreciate you. Armstrong, glad that he saw me because he wanted cake and pizza. He got both. Thanks again to Paula for the flowers. Thanks to HEB for the cake on this 1-year anniversary. And thanks to Baylor men's basketball for giving us one hell of a topic today.
Also, thanks to SicEm365 Radio.
Yes, really, SicEm365 Radio.
It's a big shell subsidiary of our
company.
No one
even knows that.
I just had to get it out of here.
I haven't even been paying that close attention just because we've been talking about so much, but I didn't even notice Jack's got the fresh champ shirt on there.
Yeah. Where'd you get the bookstore?
National champion shirt.
The store at the stadium.
Okay, the McLean store had it.
Guess who else
cool.
had one this morning? I went over to my mom's. My mom scored one already.
Oh, I bet.
She also won. By the way, I have to do this because this was part of the bet I had with her. I did a family bracket pool with several people in my family and some of my mom's friends, and my mom won.
Congratulations to her.
That's awesome. And you know what? That's not a surprise.
No.
She really spent a lot of time on that. I know she did. She did a lot of homework on it. I'm so happy for her.
That's cool.
I had my highest ever showing. And, of course, winning the national championship with the team I picked, that didn't hurt either.
I picked the title winner.
Yeah. I don't even know if I've done that very often. Thanks to Scott Drew. Coach, thank you for jumping on the very top of the show. Robert Griffin III. Thanks to Matt Norlander, Mack Rhodes, John McClain. Oh, I think I'm missing somebody in between. Tomorrow we'll kind of redo this. I hadn't even thought about tomorrow, but guess what? There's a lot to talk about as we move forward into the offseason. Enjoy it. Embrace it. You never know when you get to experience it again, right? For everyone I mentioned, Jack and Armstrong, Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, I'm David Smoak. And by the way, thank you, Colt, Brian, and Ashley for giving us this opportunity. It's been a year, and we hope there are many more to come. SicEm365 Radio. Want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com. Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
It's the Jeep Celebration event going on now at Allen Samuels. You'll find special pricing on a new 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo with total values up to $3,750 or 0% for 72 months. Also, check out the new 2021 Jeep Cherokee Latitude Plus or Lux with up to $5,000 in total values or 0% interest for 84 months. Allen Samuels, the best place to find your new Jeep. Located at 201 West Loop 340.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones.